are actively trying to run Jaylen Brown out of town, but they are doing everything they possibly can to make it an untenable situation for arguably the second best player on their team, if not at times the best player on their team. Welcome into Wire to Wire. He's Cole Bryson. My name is Diesel. I'm a little under the weather today. Not the same stuff that Cole had
gave it
last
to you.
week. So no, there was no smooching in the studio. I think this weekend, Cole, I was at a birthday party for a 5-year-old, which means there was a gaggle of 5-year-olds. Yeah. And I tried to stay as far away from it as possible because none of the children were mine. It's my niece, by the way. I didn't just show up at a random 5-year-old birthday party.
Yeah, that's good.
But like I was just in a room confined with like 10 of them.
So I was under the weather last week. Now it's you, and next week it'll be both of us. We'll have to miss the whole week next week.
Oh darn!
Dang it! Don't you hate that?
Hey, we can't miss next Wednesday because we'll be at the South Pine Street location of Ingles Markets.
You know, I don't know what's going on. That's something that I've thought about several times now. Like, I know there's been issues there, Diesel, in Boston, but you know, why mess a good thing up? This is a organization that just won an NBA championship, a couple of years ago? And to think that this Jaylen Brown thing is unfolding the way it is, I can't wrap my mind around it because it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
He is an NBA champion. He is an NBA Finals MVP. Mm-hmm. He's been selected to the All-Star team 5 times. He's been given all NBA honors. He was 6th in MVP voting this season. He had a career high points, rebounds, and assists in 2025-26 this past season. He is playing to the absolute highest of his ability. So why is it that the Boston Celtics keep dangling him out there like trade bait again and again and again and again? Like last week, Brad Stevens was saying things like, I hope he spends the next 10 years of his career here. I hope he closes it out in Boston. That's not a direct quote, but that's what he was talking about. And then they keep on putting his name out there, Cole. And now, you know, they threw his name out there to try to go get Giannis and try to be a relative 1-to-1 comparison to go get Giannis. And he is understandably fed up by this whole situation. He is equal a part of this team's success as Jason Tatum is. So why is Jason Tatum never being thrown around out there as trade bait when he's the one constantly hurt and Jaylen Brown is picking up the water, carrying the water for both of them sometimes?
Yeah, you know what's strange is if this situation by itself isn't embarrassing enough, Diesel, the fact that you just mentioned Giannis Antetokounmpo and what happened was it last week or 2 weeks ago with that trade. What's more embarrassing, I don't know if it's more or the same, also embarrassing, Diesel, is the fact the Boston Celtics, organization that's compared to the New York Yankees, the New England Patriots, when it comes to not just success, but also having that like brand, like the Cowboys, right? The marketing, the brand. The Boston Celtics couldn't win the battle, the trade to go get Giannis. They lost it to Miami, and Miami's a good franchise as well with great organizational leadership. But not only the fact that you lost that battle for Giannis, which would have been franchise altering to land that guy, but now you're losing this battle within not only within the public, but also within the locker room, because you're telling me that this isn't having an effect on the locker room. Like as you go into as you go into summer training, whatever it's called, in the late summer, early fall before they begin the season in October, what do you do? Like, how do you just pretend, if you're in the locker room, how do you pretend this isn't a real thing? How do you just go about your day? And, you know, if he's there come training camp, how does this locker room mesh? I think it's really, really strange.
That is clear evidence that this team doesn't value me. This franchise doesn't value me. Maybe Jason Tatum as a teammate does value him. Maybe the players, they're all tight and everything is cool. But when it comes to management, when it comes to ownership, when it comes to those who constantly throw your name out there, how many times can you be snubbed? How many times can you be shopped before you finally say enough is enough? In 2022, his name was thrown out there for potential deals to get Kevin Durant. He was part of the Giannis sweepstakes. Now it seems like half of the league are coming up with packages to try to come and get him, and that's all the media is talking about. And he is right to clap back, Cole, because I'm going to get to 2 really asinine statements in this very same in this very same segment from two different people.
Okay.
But there was an ESPN analyst by the name of Bobby Marks who was on ESPN television discussing the trade market for Jaylen Brown. And he said that he had spoken to an unnamed analytics person who viewed Jaylen as roughly the 7th best player on a championship team. 7. Not 6th man of the year, 7th man of the year.
What championship team? The All-Star team? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
He really said that, Diesel?
Yeah, he said that. Now Jaylen clapped back, obviously, rightfully so, and we'll get into that here in just a second. But in what world is Jaylen Brown the 7th best player on a championship team?
That's ignorant, is what it is. Yeah. Boston Scott on Facebook says Jason Tatum's silence so far is deafening, and that's a good point as well. We'll get to that. Dan B, good to see you on the stream as well. I don't know that anybody should I don't know that anyone should be allowed to be on ESPN if they say something to that nature, to that degree. You go, let's just look at this season sample size. You gave us stats out a minute ago for this year. There's no Boston Celtics success this season without what he did. And Jason Tatum was hurt. Mm-hmm. And Jaylen Brown was the engine. He was the Boston Celtics, and they were in the playoffs. They were in contention for an NBA championship without Jason Tatum. Obviously, he came back, but they were there because of what Brown did during the regular season. So, it's weird. That's why I go back to what I said a few minutes ago. I don't quite fully understand it, because this is not a guy who's not capable of leading a franchise. Could he lead any franchise? Maybe not. I mean, depending on the situation, Diesel, but this is a guy that's proven himself in the NBA. To me, and I don't watch every NBA game, every Boston game, there's nothing else to be said about Jaylen Brown and what he can do for an NBA team. He's proven himself already.
This is not a Batman and Robin situation where Jason Tatum is clearly Batman and Jaylen Brown is clearly Robin. No, this is like when superheroes team up. This is like when Batman and Superman join forces to go and stop a bad guy. These are two amazing basketball players. Jaylen clapped back on his social media account saying that analytics are ruining the game and referred to it as AI hoops, talking about us, folks around teams using way too much analytics and using it to make decisions instead of just thinking, hey, how do we think these two guys will work in the real world?
Yeah.
I mean, you can run all the numbers and have all your simulations and say that these 9 guys right here are going to go win a championship, but that's not reality. That's not life. You put them on the court and that's not true. I mean, their chemistry means everything. The clutch ability, the knowing what someone is going to do before they do it, all of that matters. All of that means everything.
What's with these analytics? Like, are we just basing everything on these? You mentioned, what analytics did you mention there? Was it a specific one, or was it just analytics in general?
Just in general, yeah.
You know what it reminds me of? I'll be for the first time in 3 years on this show, I'll be the one that makes the movie reference. Shocker, right? Shocker, because usually you're the one making the movie reference. It very much what you just said when it comes to Jaylen Brown and his advanced metrics and advanced analytics. And going back to what you just said reminds me of Sully. You remember in Sully, after he lands the plane, they're in the big, not theater, but the big press room, and they're going through all the simulations, and they're talking about how, this should have happened, this could have happened, this. And at the end of the day, Sully and his partner, I forget his partner's name, they're doing the same thing you just said. This is real life. Jaylen Brown, you can look at whatever. And I was watching First Take this morning as well. They were having the same conversation about Jaylen Brown and if he could lead this franchise or if he could be a franchise kind of guy. And it's just silly. It's just silly because what else does a guy in the NBA have to prove? Jaylen Brown has proven everything that he needs at this point. He's one of the best players in the NBA.
And I don't know who Bobby Marks is, an ESPN analyst. Don't know who that is, but he quoted an analytics person from a franchise, whatever that means, with such an asinine thing to say. 7th best player on a championship team. What an asinine thing to say. Bobby Marks should know better than to bring that kind of information up on a live TV show. He should know better than that, right?
It's dumb.
You don't say those things. Here's the other asinine thing, Cole, that I wanted to bring up. Obviously we've been following the Caitlin Clark situation with the hard foul, with the punch to the neck. And now it's a big story that she's not on the 30-year anniversary poster for the WNBA, when Paige Beckers and Angel Reese are on the poster. I saw this just before coming on the air, and I had to read this twice. Emmanuel Acho, former Fox Sports analyst, says that the WNBA would be better without Caitlin Clark. He said basically that the WNBA, they've raised the floor on the pay. They've got the private jets. They've got the nicer arenas. They've got all these things because Caitlin Clark came in and raised the bar, and that's all we need you for. Like that's it. All right, we got enough, because otherwise, all of these off ball, to use a pun, these off ball issues around Caitlin Clark, it's too much of a distraction.
That's the second time today you said something that I don't think's true. I don't believe what you just said is true. Yeah. I had to Google it to find the quote, because that just doesn't sound like, no.
I've got the audio.
There's just no way. Like, there's no way. Audio's ready whenever you are, by the way.
This is Emmanuel Acho. We know his brother because he does a lot of college football analyst, Samuel Acho. Yeah. But this is Emmanuel Acho.
The W at this junction in time would be better without Caitlin Clark, because she is a bigger distraction than she is an additive. Caitlin Clark has gotten the WNBA over the necessary threshold they needed. Now people are watching. Now we realize, there's talent in the W, talent that's actually even greater than Caitlin Clark. And I'm not just talking about bigs like Asia. I'm talking about the Olivia Miles. I'm talking about the Paige Beckers. Hell, I'm talking about the Kelsey Mitchells. Caitlin got the necessary eyes there. But now that the eyes are there, we don't necessarily need her anymore.
I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry,
word.
What?
That AI?
No,
again, I still don't believe you.
It's a podcast. Hey, get those podcast listens up, God. I guess. But dude,
well, that's got to be like. There's no way that guy believes that. There's no way. No. Maybe he does. Maybe he is just ignorant enough to believe that. And if he is, I would say, look, if he truly does believe that, Diesel, that tells me one thing: it's not truly about basketball for him.
No,
because if it was truly about basketball for him, his agenda that he's pushing right there is complete whack. And I'll tell you why. If it were only about basketball, if Emmanuel, it was Emmanuel that said that, right?
Yep.
If Emmanuel watched the games, and obviously from that statement he doesn't, because if he did, he would find out very quickly that her game and what she does, her talent level, the WNBA 100% needs it. It's essential to the growth, because guess what? You've brought this up many times when we're talking about women's college basketball. Sometimes the game isn't as pretty and smooth as the men's game, and when you compare the two, you're never gonna find the same standard or the same level of excitement with a women's game if you're comparing it to the men's game. And if you watch the WNBA and tell me that there's no place for that skill level in the WNBA, I can't respect your basketball opinion, and it's even harder, more difficult for me to respect your opinion at all.
You said it dead on last week that the WNBA doesn't need Caitlin Clark to be treated with kid gloves. They need everything to be called fair and to actually be called. When you have an event like that, when the player punched her in the throat, you got to be willing to upgrade it right there on the spot.
Yeah,
you got to be willing to just follow the rules, enforce the rules. You don't have to treat her anything different. You don't have to call extra fouls on her. You don't have to, call it differently for her than anyone else. And you certainly don't need to go above and beyond to protect her off the court, which, this whole issue with the poster, it's ludicrous, but it's not basketball related. I don't think Caitlin Clark cares, but it's one of those things. Like, the more times she's slighted and not treated fairly, again, just fairly, not unfairly in her advantage, just fairly, she's going to eventually say, you know what? I've got $40 million in the bank. I don't know what her net worth is. I've got all this money in the bank. It's not worth it for me. I'm out. I'm going to go do something else.
Going back to that audio for a second from Emmanuel Acho, Diesel, you're telling me that the eyes and the attendance and the ticket sales that Caitlin Clark, which, by the way, is not refutable. I mean, it's not a debate in terms of, I think this many tickets have sold. I think this many people have watched. Like, those are statistics, right? If Emmanuel were sitting across from me, I would love to ask him, Diesel, well, those ticket sales, the eyeballs now on the NBA, and what she did for not only the WNBA, but the college game as well, as big as she was in the college game, you're saying that, like, the sport's good? Like, it just doesn't need it? Like, and this has nothing to do with what happens off the court or her getting or her being fouled hard or anything like that. Just her game, her physical skill set. What kind of guy in Emmanuel Acho has a podcast where people actually respect and value his opinion that he can get on there and say that the WNBA doesn't need it? Like, what on earth are we talking about here?
Purely taking the new fandom and the new interest for granted, that no matter what you do going forward, this is the way it is now. The game has been leveled up and it's never going away. I hate to tell you there, Emmanuel Acho, but when you remove the biggest draw from the game, that doesn't necessarily mean that the fan interest and the conversation about it will just continue. You know, she's done a phenomenal job raising the profile of the college game and the professional game. Paige Beckers has done the same thing. You know, other players have done the same thing. And it's a continuous rise, right? It's that curve as it continues to rise up. Hate to tell you, we're not at the peak. We hopefully 5 more players just like her come along in the next 5 years or 10 years. And you can continue to say, oh, Caitlin Clark was a stepping stone to Jessica. Jessica was a stepping stone to this person. She was a stepping stone to that person. And the game continues to rise. But it also could be the peak. The Caitlin Clark era could be the peak of the WNBA. It's been around for 30 years. And it's taken a player like her to elevate the game to this point. Just call it fair. That's all people want.
Well, think about this. If it's taken us 30 years or however long to get a Caitlin Clark, do we expect the game just to get another one in the next 5 years? I mean, no.
Good point.
I don't think so. I mean, are there other talented players out there? Yeah, there are. And look, going back to the conversation about current players, and I'm sure most people would agree with this, there are good players in the WNBA. Like, there are a lot of really good players, and no disrespect to them, but to act like Michael Jordan wasn't a huge, huge lift to the NBA diesel when he entered the NBA, and the amount of jersey sales, ticket sales, attendance, TV viewership that happened because of Michael Jordan. Do you think that Emmanuel Acho would also say, well, you know what? He's been in the league now for a few years. The NBA doesn't need Michael Jordan. They don't need him. He's won 2 championships. They don't really need MJ anymore. So I think he can retire. That's just the dumbest, most. And Boston Scott brought it up on Facebook. It's got to be for engagement. That's all. That's got to be all. When you sell your soul, that the only thing you care about is podcast engagement. That's who you are. You spew, takes like this that are absolutely, just like you said, asinine. And then your credibility goes.
The funny thing is, I've only ever been exposed to Emmanuel Acho maybe 4 or 5 times
in person.
No, wow. Every single time.
You are popular. I mean, y'all run in the same circles.
Yes, that's true. We do have similar friends.
Yeah.
No, every time I get fed his content, it's always some asinine take, like over the top asinine take. And look, you can have a left field opinion if it's what you believe, if you can back it up. But no one is under the impression, Emmanuel Acho, that if you remove the biggest star the game has ever had, that's no disrespect to the greats that came before her. But when you remove the biggest star the game has ever had, all of a sudden it's like popping a balloon and letting all the air out. It will fall back to earth.
It's just in today's world, when people like Boston Scott, and we know that's your reason for saying things, I think it hurts your credibility. And that's why a lot of people, like in media, they have no problem, pushing this narrative or pushing this agenda or being that guy that hates this person or this fan base or whatever. I just think at the end of the day, it's all about, like, having credibility is very important. And if you care more about engagement and likes and retweets than you do having credibility, it's going to cost you. I just don't think there's a world in which Emmanuel Acho really believes deep down, that the WNBA is better, without Caitlin Clark.
Having a podcast can be an amazing thing, right? It can be incredibly liberating if you're a really good journalist, if you're a really good sports content creator. You're not beholden to some of the issues that legacy media members are. We have restrictions, right? There's things that we can't say. We also have sometimes We have challenges of getting something sponsored and funded so we can go be somewhere. But when you're an independent contractor and you're a podcaster and you can just swipe the credit card and go, sometimes it's a little easier to get there and to be there. But also, Cole, that means that we have people that we have to answer to. If we say something idiotic, we have to answer to our management and says, why in the hell would you say Caitlin Clark the league would be better off without Caitlin Clark? We have bosses that would listen and say, well, that was stupid. Don't ever say that again. But with Emmanuel Acho, he's just like, hey, what's the next stupid thing I could say?
Whatever it is, it doesn't matter, right? Because like you said, he's his own boss. So obviously that plays a part of it as well. Really crazy, really wild stuff that people actually believe then. What do casuals or even people like me, Diesel, need to know about where we are in the World Cup? We are officially in the stage that really, really matters in the knockout stage. What's the scene look like today? USA, a couple of days from being back on the grass, and we'll get into it. World Cup next. A little programming note, Tolos, on this Overreaction Monday. Diesel and I will be on air Monday through Thursday, not Friday. Friday the 3rd is our company's observed Independence Day. So we are off, and Diesel is hosting a huge 4th of July blowout for the Tolos and myself. I don't know if you've found that out yet or not, Diesel, but now you know.
Free beer for everyone. There will be no one. There will be no safety marshal for fireworks. So,
man,
explode at your own risk.
Back up, Terry. Right, back up, Terry. The 4th of July Saturday. Wishing you all a happy Independence Day, as we'll obviously do some Independence Day related segments later in the week as well. And keeping it around the theme of the United States, Diesel, World Cup update for casual fans, diehard soccer fans who know more than you and I, and those out there like me that know what soccer is, what it's played with, and that's pretty much it, right? So let's dive into it here in this segment. If you are a World Cup fan, number one, we would love to hear from you. We really would. Stephen Webb is one that's been in the Joy Law Firm text line, but also on the phone lines. If you're a World Cup fanatic in the upstate, Anderson, Spartanburg, Greenville, get in on the conversation. 844-326-3663. 844-FAN-PHONE. That's FANFONE, because I'll admit to you, I don't put on a mask. I'm not a soccer guy, so we'd love to hear from you if you are. And Diesel, we are officially in the knockout stage of the World Cup, which means this is where it all comes down. The rubber meets the road, if you will. The group stage is over. So from here on out, it is very simple. Win and advance, lose, and go home. If a match is tied after 90 minutes, it goes to extra time, and if needed, penalty kicks. This is also the first men's World Cup ever to feature a round of 32 because of the expanded 48-team format. And today's Monday. We are now, correct me if I'm wrong here, 2 days away from the United States of America.
That's right.
Back in action, right?
Wednesday versus Bosnia-Herzegovina. I don't know how cool we're going to beat two countries at the same time.
That just seems like, what are they doing that to us for? It seems like we're behind the eight ball a little bit, right?
There is a form of soccer, Cole, with three teams playing on the field at a given time. I saw it on not MTV. I saw it on ESPN 8, the Ocho. It's called Omega Ball.
Ocho again, really? We got to bring that up again?
ESPN 8, the Ocho. It's a triangular shaped soccer field where when you currently have the lead, both teams are trying to score on you to pass you.
Oh my God.
So the two teams that have the second fewest number of goals need to work together to score on the other team.
You realize that soccer's already confusing enough to me, and now it's really
fun though.
Blowing my mind
Mega
here.
Ball. It's fun.
So United States a couple of days away from being in action right now. Diesel, the knockout round. Let's update the audience. One team, and let me look and make sure I'm looking at this right. Today's schedule, there are 3 games. Is that right? Brazil defeated Japan 2-1. So Japan, Diesel, is going home, right?
Yes, that's true.
They're going back to Japan.
That's true.
So they are done.
They're done.
2 more today. 4:30, Germany, Paraguay. You say Paraguay or Paraguay?
I say Paraguay.
Paraguay. Paraguay and Germany at 4:30. 9 o'clock, Netherlands, Morocco. Those are the other 2 games. Am I saying that right, that there's only been 1 game so far today?
Correct.
Because I know we were just talking about it before the show. So Brazil, Japan, the only game that's gone final today.
Yeah, Brazil-Japan kicked off at, I think, 1 p.m.
Gotcha.
Eastern, so must have just finished up.
Just finished. So
we
Japan
didn't have it on the studios.
They're done. Oh, why we have tennis on. We'll have to switch over to soccer here in about an hour.
Tennis.
But tennis. Wimbledon, I guess, is something we need to cover on this show as well.
Do we have tennis tolos who freak out about tennis other than only when Venus Williams and Serena Williams are playing?
That's a good question. And look, I have more respect for those two than, as much as respect as anybody for what they've done for the sport. But, there's probably somebody out there that played tennis growing up and played collegiately that say, yeah, y'all need to cover tennis more. You need to cover. We don't cover soccer unless it's the World Cup. So after this World Cup, how many years will it be again, Diesel, till you and I talk about and discuss soccer on this show.
2, if and only if the women's World Cup Team USA advances to like the semifinals.
Okay.
Past that, like we're probably not going to pay attention.
Not much.
To it.
How many times have we mentioned soccer since we started the show 3 years? In the 3 years we've been, I mean, not many, a handful, right? Dan B on the YouTube stream says, I'll admit tennis is something I never watch. I'm watching it. We're watching it right now. It's on ESPN, and it's okay.
I grew up in the era when it was Pete Sampras versus Andre Agassi. That was as big as U.S. tennis got. Right? With the men's side, as big as U.S. tennis got. And even when I was a kid, I was like, can we watch anything else?
Yeah.
Like, please. Let Andre Agassi sell his Canon cameras or whatever, his Rebel T whatevers, but I don't care.
What about this Canada making history? This was yesterday, Diesel. Canada defeated South Africa 1-0. Excuse me.
You're getting it.
And every time I say zero, it hits me. You can't say zero. Canada made history, by the way. So let's look at this. What they do. Pretty big day. Canada became the first team in the round of 16, Diesel, defeating South Africa 1-0 on Sunday. It was Canada's first ever World Cup knockout stage victory. Did you know that?
Wow.
That's impressive, right?
First ever.
Making them one of the biggest stories of the tournament so far. And that's impressive. I had to fact check that just to make sure. But Canada making history. They have not been successful deep into the World Cup, and that kind of surprises me a little bit. I know they're a hockey country, but still, that's surprising to me.
Think about this, Cole, though. In 4 years, in 2030, when the World Cup happens again, it'll be played in a combination of Morocco, Portugal, and Spain. And I'm sure it's going to be beautiful and hot. But the thing is, because of the time difference, they'll be like early first thing in the morning games.
Yeah.
This is the perfect storm for us, right? We get it on our turf. We get it in our time zone. We don't have to wake up at 6 a.m. to watch matches. It's the same way when it's the Olympics being played somewhere across the world. And that's just the way that it is. But like, if you want Americans to watch, put it on our schedule.
Put it on our freaking schedule. It's all about us, dadgummit. Yeah. It's all about us. So, congrats to those up north, those Canadian geese. They finally won their first ever round of 16. Back. Yeah, no doubt. Especially the ones that are here in this parking lot. They are the worst.
Yeah, you can't walk on the back lawn.
You can't walk anywhere. You can't walk in the parking lot without trying to step in something. It's bad. And Stone Man down the hall, you know what drives me insane? He feeds them. So he enables these two things. Number one, he feeds them. If you have a coworker that feeds geese, coworker should be fired, right? Dewey. Number two, he calls them ducks. He says, I'm going to feed the ducks. I said, Stone Man, we don't have ducks. Yeah, we do. We have ducks. And I'm like, you really, as a grown man, don't know the difference between a goose and a duck. So he feeds. If you step in poo in our parking lot, blame Stone Man from the planet.
So I get to wipe it on Stoney's car.
Yeah.
When I step in duck poo, I get to wipe it on Stone Man's BMW.
I think so. I mean, what are we doing here? We're feeding the geese. The geese have no purpose.
They block the road out here, too. They wander across the road. They're little goslings. They're cute as hell, but then they grow up to be jerks.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
Like most kids.
So, congrats to Canada on that. Brazil, Japan grabbed a lot of attention. Netherlands, Morocco, Diesel's viewed as one of the marquee matchups this round for those that know soccer, that are really talking about this, unlike me. Netherlands, Morocco tonight at 9 p.m. And Morocco is favored as of right now. Netherlands plus 135 if you want to get in on the cheese there. A little scratch for you.
Go, Morocco. I met the Dutch. I met the Dutch when I was in Curacao because it's a Dutch island.
Is it?
Yeah. They're not nice people.
Oh.
They're not nice people. The Dutch, they can get knocked out. Come on, Morocco.
So you have beef with?
I have a grudge with the Dutch.
With the Dutch,
they're rude.
How do they speak, by the way?
I don't know. They speak Dutch.
But you met them. You met them. I mean, you're fluent now, right?
Totally. No, they won't speak to you. Their whole thing is if you try to learn Dutch to speak to them, they're like, oh, we're happy that you tried, and they'll be your buddies.
Yeah.
But like I'm not going to a Caribbean island to learn Dutch to talk to the Dutch tourists that come in there. Like they're mean, they're rude, They don't care about other people around them. That's not the American way.
No, the heck with the Dutch then. Let's see what else tonight. Team USA's next game. Let's talk about the only team that really matters here. Yeah. Wednesday night, they return round of 32, win, and you're on to the round of 16, lose, and the World Cup is over. Diesel, let's talk about expectations. We know that they came up short last week against Turkey. And I think for the most part, people were expecting the United States to be victorious in that game. A little surprised there. Didn't they lead most of the game till right there at the very end, in fact, if I'm not mistaken?
No.
Was it back and forth?
The USA scored early, let Turkey score.
Gotcha.
And then Turkey scored, and USA had to make it up a little bit later. And then Turkey scored again with time basically expiring.
So, nonetheless, Team USA expectations, Diesel, you think in terms of this matchup with Bosnia, you're a little bit more plugged in than I am. I don't know that Team USA was expected to go far from the very beginning of this thing, right? So, when you talk about expectations, round of 16, like let's say they make it to the round of 16. Mm-hmm. I feel like, and tell me if I'm wrong, that would be a major accomplishment for what the expectations were for this team going into the World Cup, right?
Yes, expectations have certainly shifted since then.
Because they've won?
Since the way we looked in the first two matches against Paraguay and against Australia. And the fact that we still scored 2 goals when playing basically all backups in the third game. Bosnia-Herzegovina, Cole, is a country of 3.1 million people. That's smaller than a lot of cities. Like the biggest cities in America have more people in them than that. We should absolutely dominate Bosnia-Herzegovina with our best players.
Yeah. And we talked about that last week. Some of our best players didn't play the entirety of the game, right, against Turkey. So you had some fresh faces in there. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. Mm-hmm. A little bit.
9 out of 11 players were backups.
Wow. So that's most of the team then.
Yeah.
Most of the team. I'm interested to see, you asked me a couple of weeks ago what my interest level would be. I'm going to watch on Wednesday because I do now that it's like elimination. I really am interested. July 1st, that's Wednesday, by the way. First day of July is this Wednesday. It is a late game. It's 8 o'clock, but it's a lot better than 10 o'clock. It's in California, Santa Clara. So 10, 15, 10:30, depending on how long. Yeah, depending on how long it goes. So my interest level will be there. Team USA, going back to their expectations, they're favored. They are, and not like a massive favorite, but Diesel on the money line. Team USA is minus 265 on Wednesday. I don't know how much that line will change between now and Wednesday, but to your point there about Bosnia's population, maybe that's a factor, maybe it's not. But Team USA going into this matchup is a big favorite. So what an accomplishment that could be if they could make it to the round of 16. One of the 16 teams remaining feels like, again, for me, this is my opinion because I don't watch a lot of soccer and don't keep up with the World Cup like a lot of people do. It feels like for this team and what their expectations were, this would be massive to make it to the round of 16. So absolutely going to pay attention on Wednesday night.
Yeah, it would be big. Again, we're expected to beat them. We should beat them, a 2-1, 3-1 kind of game. And then without looking forward, because you never know what that could, you never know what kind of distraction that might present. We'd be facing the winner of Belgium versus Senegal. Obviously, we'd rather face Senegal there. Belgium, a little bit better of a team than Senegal is. But, my expectation at this point, Cole, now is to reach the round of 8.
Oh,
to reach the round of 8. That's
you're getting a little greedy.
I would
on
love
us,
to see him go farther, but then then they're facing Portugal, Croatia, Spain, or Austria.
Yeah.
A couple of those are really, really good teams.
And, there's somebody out there, I'm sure, because you and I in the business we're in, we get criticized, believe it or not, right? People don't love, a lot of people love us, a lot of people hate us. And I'm sure that there's somebody out there in Greenville, because Greenville's such a big booming soccer city now, right, that is just listening to me all week for the past couple of weeks, not know anything about soccer, thinking, well, this guy, he hosts a radio show. He should know a lot more about soccer. Look, my job is not to follow soccer 365 days a week or 365 days a year. So when it's here, obviously Diesel and I talk about it, but I would rather be real with you and authentic and say I don't really follow it much than me try to, because there's a lot of people out there in the media, Diesel, that they do their studying, they do their homework, which is fine. That's what you're supposed to do. But I don't want to come on these airwaves and act like I am somebody. I don't watch soccer. So so for those 6 people in Greenville that have their soccer jerseys on that are upset with me, I really sincerely, deeply apologize, but I'm not going to fake it.
Well, I mean, the truth is our job here is to cater to our audience, and our audience loves football. They love basketball. They love baseball. Right?
I would actually say it was football, then basketball.
Then a little basketball. Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, we just don't have a large hardcore soccer loving audience, but we're trying here, right?
We're trying, baby. We're trying.
We're doing like most Americans are doing right now. We are learning on the fly, learning as we go. And that doesn't mean that we'll necessarily give you the absolute best, hardest hitting soccer analysis, but it means we're trying, and we're presenting a vehicle so that you Tolos who really do love soccer can call in and talk about it.
That's right.
You can teach us a thing or two.
That's right. Giving you the platform to call in. So don't complain. Like Diesel said, pick up the phone and talk soccer with us. We're inviting you to do that.
Cole, when we come back, the Warriors are maybe trying to pull off a mid-2010s all-star team. Ooh. Are we here for it? We'll close out this first hour with that next.
The ball's in your court. Sound off now at 844-FAN-PHONE.
This is Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
I hesitate, Cole, to say back in the day, ... because back in the day for me usually means you weren't even born yet.
You sound old.
I know I do. But back in the day, Cole, when you would play NBA-related video games, you could select the team that you wanted to play as or against. You could scroll past the Sacramento Kings, past the San Antonio Spurs, past the Washington Wizards, and then you would start getting into all-star teams, legendary basketball teams. And that right there is exactly what the Golden State Warriors are attempting to pull off because, per Shams Charania of ESPN, the Warriors are planning a pursuit of LeBron James and Anthony Davis to keep with Draymond Green and Steph Curry as the starting four.
When I saw that, was it this morning? When I saw that news come from Shams, I almost thought it's a parody account, because that is something you would see on a parody account. So Draymond declines his 2026 opt-in option, and now he opts out so that they can have the flexibility to re-sign Draymond potentially with AD, who they're trying to trade for, and then LeBron, who they'd have to sign, and they have Kristaps Porzingis on the roster, and you have Steph Curry. This is one of those things, Diesel, that, look, if you've watched any national sports today, this is the only thing that's been talked about. I'll say this. If this is how I sum it up, if you told me that roster potentially, and I know this is still potential, right? If you told me, Diesel, that roster would be healthy come playoff time, I would say, yes, that team absolutely has a chance to win a title. However, the possibility and likelihood of that roster being healthy come playoff time with that age, I just don't see it.
A lot of sore knees.
And then how do you have the depth? Where's the depth?
It's a good question.
I don't see it.
Steph Curry is expected to make let's just keep it easy, $63 million next year. Draymond Green can renegotiate. His team option was $27 million. He could renegotiate for less than that. Anthony Davis's salary for last year was $43 million. Who knows what the salary might be if he was to sign with the Warriors. And then to accomplish all of that, they would have to get LeBron to take the $15.1 million non-taxpayer mid-level exception, which is a phrase that I literally just heard for the first time today.
Yeah, most people did.
It's a tool that helps teams that are over the salary cap be able to bring in rotational players. And isn't that hilarious to refer to LeBron James as a rotational player on this roster? But think about that. Steph would be making 4 times what LeBron is just to pay Anthony Davis a lot of money, just to get LeBron James on a discount.
Again, would this be fun to watch? Yes. Could it implode like your fireworks this Saturday on the 4th of July? Yes, it could. We thought Kevin Durant and Kyrie in Brooklyn a few years ago was going to be unstoppable. And James Harden too, by the way. They had KD, Kyrie, and James Harden. And when that happened, I thought, there's no way anybody's beating that team. Brooklyn will win the entire NBA championships. Milwaukee beat them. So
yeah, and now people are saying the Knicks are the team that brings New York City together.
Yeah, and look, the reality is it would be a lot of fun. It would be interesting because, as you joked about, it kind of would be an all-star team. And could it work? Yeah, I think it could work. But if you were looking at a pie chart, I would say that there's probably a 60-40 split for me, that I'd say it's more likely that it doesn't work just because of the age. 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's deadly.
See, that rule, that sounds to me like a creative way to do load management. Always have a star or two out there on the court. On any given night, you're going to have 3 of those guys out there on the court, usually 2 at worst. So you've still got some star power on the roster. This doesn't read as LeBron James is going to play the entire season, and AD is going to play the entire season, and Steph's going to play the entire season. No, it's just, well, when LeBron's tired, Steph and AD can pick up the slack and sort of round robin.
Let me tell you what also it doesn't read. It also doesn't read that Golden State has a clue what they're doing with the future of their franchise. Like, that's stupid. That's dumb. Like, I get it. Hey, Sean McVay, you're out there, F them picks kind of thing, and just go for it. But, like, is it really worth it to mortgage your entire future, a decade, for 1 year of maybe hopeful, wishful thinking that you have LeBron and Anthony? I don't know. Just
sign
Dwight.
To sell jerseys.
Yeah, and sign Dwight Howard while you're at it, and see if Shaq still has any life left in him, and
Larry Bird can still shoot the three.
Go at it, man. But until then, I mean, with that age on that roster, that's an interesting one for me. So,
we started the show talking about Jaylen Brown and being dangled all the time for trade bait. Jimmy Butler, who's with the Warriors now, said, "You talking about being traded? It wouldn't be the first time, but it's good to know that I'm wanted here. Yeah. If I get traded, I get traded. Their job is to win. Can I help them do that? Yes.
It'd be interesting, wouldn't it? We'll see. We'll see what happens in the next few days regarding what could be a blockbuster trade, signing, and more. Diesel, let's go a little college football for the next couple of segments. Let's start with this. Archie, not Arch, Archie Manning spoke over the weekend. No, it wasn't at a local bingo hall, but Archie Manning did speak. Who's in the wrong here? Is it our fault for the season that Arch Manning had last year? Let's hear what Arch said, or what Archie said, and we'll react next.
Fan Upstate.
Well, Archie Manning says it's your fault. I'm talking to you, Diesel. It's your fault.
Me?
Yep, your fault. He
what
called
did I
you
do?
by name. He said, Diesel on radio out of Greenville, Spartanburg. It is your fault. Archie Manning, the grandfather of Arch Manning, spoke over the weekend, Tolos. And yeah, we know it's almost July. We're going to start talking a lot more college football. In fact, for the next 2 segments, we're talking college football. So get in on the conversation. We're getting closer, baby. The countdown is on. 844-326-3663. Archie Manning recognized, Diesel, the hype surrounding Texas quarterback Arch Manning. It's been sky high, as you know, since he stepped on a football field. And it is understandable, given the fact that he came from the Manning family, as Brian Kelly says, right? But longtime NFL quarterback Archie Manning spoke with Noah Gross of KXAN about the supreme expectations people had and still have for Arch. Here's what Paul, I don't know what he calls him. Does he call him Grandpa?
80.
What do you call? I mean, man, I don't know what Arch calls his grandpa.
What did you call your grandfathers? Did you know both of them?
Yeah, I still have one.
Okay.
Papa's what I call one.
Papa.
The other one I didn't know.
Okay.
So he passed before I was old enough to know. But what are the common ones? Granddad,
Grandpa, Grandpapa.
I mean, that's bougie.
We called ours Pawpaw.
Paw?
Yeah.
I like Paw.
Because he played at Clemson, so he got Pawpaw.
I like Paw a lot.
Yeah.
I do like that.
The other one I didn't know either.
Whatever Arch calls Archie. Here's what Archie said. I was kind of disappointed in a lot of people, Archie Manning said. The whole thing, it kind of crowned Arch before he ever played. And I just didn't think that was fair. Yeah, it was a little tough start. Played a great team. And anyway, Archie went on to talk about the situation. And look, what 2026 expectations could be. And I have some audio here in a second to get to as well. He said, but I've never been more proud of anybody in my life with the way Arch battled through what he had to go through last year. And the way he played, the last 8 or 9 games of the season. Archie Manning stated. So, Diesel, I ask you, and I also ask the Tolos out there, those that love college football, that call themselves college football junkies, we want to hear from you. Let's get the conversation going. 844-326-3663. It's the Joy Law Firm text line. Is he right here when it comes to the media putting very unfair expectations on his grandson going into last season?
Don't I remember Archie Manning doing commercials with Arch Manning?
Maybe.
So what you're saying is, or what he is saying, excuse me, not you, I want to put words in your mouth. What he is saying is it's okay for me to overhype my grandson by appearing in commercials. I think there was one where they were like getting in and out of limos or something, right? It's okay for me to do it, but it's not okay for you to do it.
Maybe.
I mean, if he didn't want his grandson to be hit with this massive amount of pressure, number one, don't let him go to Texas. Number two, tell him to go buy a pseudonym. He didn't have to be Arch Manning.
Wow.
He could have been Steven Johnson.
That's where it all starts, though. So when you have this conversation about Arch Manning's unfair expectations, it doesn't matter, Diesel, in my opinion, how many TV commercials he did, how good he was, how tall he was, what color his hair was, what color his eyes were. His name by itself, being Arch Manning, was enough. That was enough to seal the deal. And it didn't matter how many appearances or how big of an ego. And it doesn't seem like the kid has a big ego from what we've heard. It doesn't matter. When you say the word Manning, when you say the last name Manning in football and sports, anybody that knows sports, guess what? They know. Oh, the Mannings. Yeah. So he's going to be a good quarterback, right? He better be a good quarterback, right? So the amount of unfair expectations started with that, coupled in with the fact of what you just said. He did go to Texas.
Yeah, if you don't want high expectations, go to FAU.
Right. Right.
So I'm not throwing shade at FAU. I'm just saying it's not the same as Texas.
Yeah. Well, you're really hurting the Owl fans in the audience, right?
No, I think Lane Kiffin did that enough. Right?
Yeah. So
hey, Owl fans.
By the way, for those Tolos in the upstate, looks pretty nasty outside all of a sudden.
We keep turning and looking out the window because there's this black cloud that's just hanging over us.
And our TVs went out and it says emergency alert system. Can you pronounce that underneath there of what it says under emergency alert system?
God, then it just changed.
El Servicio
Alerta de Emergencia.
But what is that M word?
Meteorológico Nacional al Emitido WFBC FM. I got it.
You got the last one. So, anyways, that translates to it's storming outside, we think. So, we do keep looking outside. It got black all of a sudden. It was pretty earlier.
It was like for everybody who worked for iHeart stations last week.
That's a low blow.
Is it?
That is a low blow.
It's not their fault.
Blow.
It's the company's fault.
OMG. That is a low blow. I mean, I'm laughing, but it was a low blow. You're right. Not their fault. Company's fault. And, we got one of these yesterday, too. It stormed bad, at least at my house. At Bowling Springs, it was nasty yesterday afternoon about 3 o'clock. And bad winds, bad lightning. So, Tolo, stay safe. Let us know what the weather is so other Tolos can maybe avoid certain areas. 844-326-3663. Let's hear a little audio from Archie. How about that from over the weekend? What old Pawpaw have to say? Here's Archie. Oh, that's the bumper music. Let's try that again. By the way, we're playing 4th of July Independence-related music, so hopefully you enjoy that as I pause that and go back to that Archie Manning audio. I have it somewhere. I promise I do. Here it is. Ready? Let's try that again.
I was kind of disappointed in a lot of people. The whole thing. They kind of crowned Arch before he ever played, and I just didn't think that was fair. It was a little tough start. Played a great team, and anyway, but I've never been more proud of anybody in my life is the way Arch battled through what he had to go through last year and the way he played, the last 8 or 9 games of the season.
I don't have a problem with what he said. The only thing I would say is this, Diesel, if anybody should know what kind of expectations that kid's going to have at the college level, it should be Archie, right? With him kind of starting. I mean, all this is your fault, Archie. You were the one that gave birth to all these really good, NFL quarterbacks, and it's your fault. So maybe he doesn't fully understand the new modern 2026 of how publicity and endorsements and all that works, because it's very overwhelming. I think Arch handled it pretty well. Outside of the Texas-Ohio State game, Arch wasn't bad last year. So, there's a mantra that he wasn't good, but he completed 61% of his passes, over 3,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, 7 picks. Mm-hmm. He ran for 10 touchdowns he didn't have a bad year at all.
Yeah, it's from that situation, and I understand that he's being a protective grandfather, and people listen to him because he's Archie Manning, and it's the first family of football and all that mess. Number one, you're right. He didn't go through that when he was at Ole Miss back in the day, back in the 60s or 40s or whenever he played football for Ole Miss. I don't know. I'm just saying, maybe a local car dealer comes down and say, "Hey man, can you help me sell some Buicks?" And that was the most amount of pressure he got. But trying to thread the needle of both supporting him in a way that says, yeah, I have a sense that my grandson's going to be really, really good. And the opposite extreme of that is nobody talk about him. He's never played a down of football at this level. We don't know what he's going to be. He didn't do either one of those things, right? So I thought he threaded the needle as best he could.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't Drew Mestemaker from North Texas, Diesel, who threw for 4,300 yards and 34 touchdowns, right? Or Darian Mensah, who threw for almost 4,000 yards at Duke and 34 touchdowns. Or Carson Bank, who threw for 3,830 touchdowns. He wasn't that, but guess what he wasn't? He wasn't Cade Klubnik, who had less passing touchdowns, less passing yards, less rushing touchdowns than Arch Manning did. So Cade Klubnik, a guy that was in the college football game for several years and was supposed to have this stellar, awesome career. So I don't think there are many criticisms that are fair when it comes to Arch Manning.
Yeah.
And let's not act like quarterback play was great last year across the board, was it?
You gotta at that point, if you're gonna cheerlead for your grandson, you have to stick to the facts. Say, hey, he was here. You're right. He wasn't the best. He wasn't the worst. But guess what? He was also a first-year starter. Yeah. And watch, he got better week in and week out. Going into Columbus, Ohio, playing Ohio State in your first game. That's tough. That's tough. Now, granted, he's not the first player to ever do that, right? And there have been players who have exploded onto the scene right away in their first games. So I would say, just instead of saying it's unfair, they shouldn't be putting all this pressure on him, just stick to the facts and say he got better every single game all season long.
He did. Let's look at some facts here, Diesel. And again, Tolos, if you just tuned into the conversation, it is Overreaction Monday. Good to have you joining us on 97.1 Spartanburg, or maybe it's 97.7 Greenville, 101.5 Anderson, or on the Odyssey, iHeart, TuneIn apps. And yes, Dewey, we know the Braves suck. So thanks for chiming in there. Hope to hear from you at 5 p.m.
Dewey, call into the show. Where you been?
Yeah.
Don't call in now. Call in at 5 o'clock.
But let's go back to facts. If we're talking about facts, I want you to take a wild guess. And this is a difficult challenge for you, but Diesel, without looking, take a wild guess when it comes to passing yards. Last season, 2025 FBS college football, where do you think Arch Manning ranked from 1 to 50 when it comes to passing yards? Total passing yards. You know the number one was Drew Mestamaker out of North Texas for 4,379 passing yards. Where was Arch Manning, if you had a guess?
I'd be willing to bet that he was somewhere around 25, 26, 2,700 yards. I'd be willing to bet.
I thought you were going to say he was somewhere around 25, 26, or 27 when it comes to the ranking, and I was going to say, oh, you're dead on. I was going to say you were dead on. But then you said 100 yards. He threw for 3,100, which put him at 27th in the country. He was behind the likes of Marcel Reed at A&M, Jalen Rayner, Arkansas State had a good year, Josh Hoover, TCU, Diego Pavia, your guy, and Joey Aguilar, Dante Moore, Ty Simpson, those kind of guys, right? So he was 27th when it came to passing yards. Completion percentage. Where was Arch Manning last year when it came to completion percentage? Because I think it's important to get a fair, like you said, sticking to facts, getting a fair analysis before we go into this 2026 season, understanding of where Arch was in 2025. Completion percentage.
I'm going to say, give me 17.
17 would be, and you better know this name, Chase Jenkins out of Rice.
Yeah,
do you know Chase?
Yeah, we're best friends.
You didn't follow Rice football last year, Diesel? You host a radio show.
I don't follow food. Sorry.
You host a radio show and you don't know about Rice football. I mean, what are we doing?
Idiot.
What if I told you when it comes to completion percentage, Diesel, Arch Manning was not good last year when it comes to completion percentage. In fact, I'm looking down the list here. And completion percentage is a little bit of a skewed statistic. It's kind of like an ERA in baseball because it's based on the amount of passes that you throw, right? Mm-hmm. So we know, like, for example, if I told you, Diesel, that Christopher Vezina had a higher completion percentage than Arch Manning, it really wouldn't make a lot of sense, but it's true.
Yeah, Christopher Vezina probably threw, 80 passes last year?
71.
There you go.
So, yeah, very close. Arch wasn't in the top 150. When it comes to completion percentage.
Yeah, that's it's a misleading statistic. It has to go along with the sheer number of completions, the type of offense that you're in, how good your receivers are. All of that matters.
And what conference you play in, that matters as well. Mm-hmm. The competition, the level of competition. Now let's go to touchdowns. Touchdowns a little bit more feasible here. Fernando Mendoza, you heard of him?
I think so.
He led FBS last year, FBS football, all of college football, with 41 total touchdowns in 2025 to 6 interceptions, by the way. It's a pretty good touchdown interception ratio.
And people think he's going to bust in the NFL.
That's pretty good, 41 touchdowns. Darian Mensah was 2 with 34. Drew Mestamaker had 34 as well, so Darian and Drew were tied. Where would you guess when it comes to touchdown that our boy Archie's grandson, where was Arch Manning when it comes to touchdowns?
Total running, passing, let's say 28, 29.
The silence is because I'm scrolling, just so you know.
you
Nah,
gotta
he's
keep
not too far.
scrolling.
He's not too far. He's not too far. He had 26.
Oh, it's off by 2.
26, and he came in 17th in the country, tied with Kevin Jennings of SMU. So when you look at these statistics, let's just set the scene, Diesel, of where Arch Manning was last year. Was he a good quarterback? He was a good quarterback. Was he a great quarterback? No. He wasn't a great quarterback. He wasn't a bomb, that's for sure. A lot of these statistics, he was from 15 to 30. When it comes to QBR, quarterback rating, Arch Manning Diesel was 39th in the country, a metric that a lot of people use. He had a quarterback rating of 144.9. So Archie's criticism of the media for having unfair expectations, I totally get it, that maybe he did have unfair expectations, but at the same time, like you said, I would also say, hey, your son's last name is, or your grandson's last name is Manning, so don't be surprised by it.
Yeah.
Here is what Cooper Manning said also over the weekend when they, I guess it was a Manning Media Fest over the
I
weekend.
think that's always what you want. You want some grit and some experience. And really the only way you get better is to have things, have some wind in the face and have some bumps and bruises and things go against you. And I think you kind of find out, who is this guy? What kind of character is he? And I think we learned a lot about him. And I think finishing on a high note and getting better every week. And then excited to, be the reason why a lot of these kids in other places want to come to Texas. Hey, you get to play with, you want to catch balls from Arch Manning. Come on. I think that was a big reason why Cam Coleman, decided to end up at Texas. So that says a lot. He's excited about new teammates, new schedule, really some big home games, some playing at LSU, playing in Tennessee, hosting Ole Miss. I mean, those are big. That's why you join the SEC. That's why you go to Texas to play on a big stage. He's looking forward to it.
A little bit different tone there from his dad.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm curious, why are all these people speaking for Arch? Isn't that what got us in this place in the first place?
Well,
gosh, I said place twice.
I'm glad you said that. Here he is speaking. Last but certainly not least, what does QB1 have to say,
So it's
Diesel?
a Manning family reunion.
I'm telling you, they had the works out there. They had the chicken, the mashed potatoes. They had everything. What did Arch have to say? Well, here's that audio.
Time you just get game experience, whether it's good games or bad games, it helps you. And I'm just trying to get better one day at a time and keep improving on last year and just help my team win in any way I can. Continue to just be myself, not try to be anyone else. Play within myself and trust my teammates, trust the coaching, and just try to get better each week. There are some up and downs. There's a little bit of a rocky start there, but I feel like I learned a lot about myself and try and keep getting better and move forward and have a good year.
Some rocky audio as well,
Are we
right?
calling from a walkie-talkie? What is he recording on?
It was pretty rough there. Wasn't a little interference with the microphone. So with that being said, as we go to break, I want to ask you this as well as the Tolos out there, Diesel. We know we have set the scene on what he did last year. We now know what he did. We know where he ranks. What are our expectations? This is a conversation that we'll pick up in the days to come, but what are our expectations of Arch in 2026? Do they change much based on now that do they change much based on what we know he was statistically in 2025? Again, good, not great, not buns. Yeah. And I think that's going to be a really interesting question to answer over the next month and a half or so.
To say that Arch Manning is going to jump from, what do you say, like 47th most with passing yards to top 5, that's a huge jump. You're asking him to essentially pull up another 1,000 yards in passing this season.
In the SEC.
In the SEC. Just get inside the top 15, get inside the top 20 passing yards. And ultimately, passing yards don't matter. You don't get crowned for that except for maybe a Heisman. Yeah. Your goal is to win games. If you're winning games, how many yards you're throwing for, how many touchdowns you run it in for versus throw it in for, doesn't matter.
I'm with you. I'm with you, but hey, it's almost here. We've got a couple days left of June, Diesel, and then it's July, and it's all in on talking season, baby. I can't wait.
Speaking of talking, in the very next segment, we're going to talk to William Cockerell. He covers Clemson. He covers recruiting, all things. He's a current college football writer for Walk On Red Shirts. We'll talk to him about Clemson next. Well, we talked Arch Manning in the previous segment, expectations for him. Let's bring it local right here to the upstate of South Carolina. Joining the show for the very first time, William Cockrell at Walk On Moose on X is where you can find him. He played for Clemson from 2013 to 2015. He joins the show here for the first time. William, appreciate your time, buddy. How are you?
Hey, good, Cole. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. This is Diesel here. We'll bounce some questions off of you. You know, as I'm looking up and down this 2027 class, we'll start with recruiting. I'm seeing lots of guys from Florida, Georgia, Virginia, South Carolina, a couple outliers, one guy from Michigan, one guy from North Dakota. What do you think of the dispersion of the talent in this next year's upcoming class? Is it sort of a confirmation of Dabo's national recruiting footprint, or do you believe that we're seeing sort of a tightening of the territorial belt hammering the Southeast region?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. And when Clemson was at its highest is when Clemson was able to recruit nationally. I think it was the 2017 or the 2018 class when Clemson got the number one recruit out of Georgia, Ohio, Virginia, and a couple other states. You know, that was the pre-NIL era. So we get into the NIL era and we're still in these races with all these guys that aren't regional. And, you know, something's changed. Graham Neff comes out a couple of weeks ago and says, hey, we're spending now. And you look at the recruiting class and it matches. You know, Dabo is someone who's been very adamant. He's not going to pay young guys to come in. But he's kind of let off the gas a little bit on that. I mean, I wouldn't think they're going to pay top dollars. They're not getting a bidding war, which we saw what happened with Sean Fox, a linebacker that ended up going to Kentucky. But we're able to beat out some of these other high-profile programs because Dabo's culture still wins, and now the dollars come with it. So I think it's a combination of both. So you're hitting it right on the head, Cole.
William, let me ask you something you just said there, man. You said we're spending now. That's, very evident when you look at what you said also with the recruiting class and what Dabo's done here lately. What was the trigger, if you had to guess, or if you do know what those conversations were like behind the scenes, what was the trigger that allowed this program to start spending? Not saying they hadn't been spending, not saying they went from not spending to spending all of a sudden, but you're right. I was asked about it this morning. A friend of mine, a Clemson fan, said, hey, they're looks like they're spending money all of a sudden. What was the trigger? Do you know any behind the scenes on why it seems like this offseason we saw a flurry of recruits that we all assume is money related?
Yeah, and that's a great question. I think the biggest trigger is actually not a culture shift from Dabo, which is what everyone wants to say it is. I think the biggest trigger is you had 9 draft picks leave. And what Dabo's talked about was he pays guys who stay. And when you have 9 guys going to the NFL draft, that's a lot of money coming off the books. And when you get in this situation where, hey, we just lost 20 players, seniors, upperclassmen, transfer, you name it, you got to go spend and pick that roster back up. So you go into the transfer portal, you spend. You go into the young talent and you spend again. And so I think the biggest thing was the 9 guys leaving. Then I also think it was, hey, we have this group. It didn't work out. Why? And Dabo is someone who every single year starts back from ground zero and builds the program back up. It is very foundational to the end of the year. Every single year he starts right back from ground zero. This is who we are as a program. What do we need to change? He says it all the time, and I think some fans roll their eyes because he kind of repeats himself a lot of things, but it's very true. He starts everything over. He evaluates everything, and I think this was the biggest evaluation. We're missing out on big-time recruits. Why? The biggest thing we always hear is the culture's there. It feels like family, but I had to take this opportunity. Why? Well, let's get some money in the bank now. Let's go get Morgan Wallen and Ella Langley and George Strait to come to our football field so we can, increase our purse a little bit and let's help these people out. So I think those are the 2 biggest things.
William, it feels almost like a lifetime ago when Dabo said nobody's going to have more money than us, right? It feels, gosh, like it's been 5 years. The number that I've heard, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, the number that I've heard for this 2026 season payroll-wise is about $30 million. Does that seem somewhat accurate to you?
I've heard that as well. I don't know the exact number, so I won't say that's true, but I wouldn't argue with you.
Well, that's a long way away from the estimated number of $47 million that Texas is spending. Do you expect sort of, being, close, but not really all that close to the tippy top of college football to be the way that Clemson's going to operate for years down the road? If the number hits 50, they might be at 35. If it hits 55, they might be at 40, and sort of this hope that rewarding perseverance and loyalty with players that have stuck around will work for them. Do you sort of always expect them to be sort of hanging back a little bit from the tippy top of where the market is?
Yeah, I think that, and that's for two reasons. Number one, we don't have oil tycoons in our piggy bank, like the Texas A&M and SMU. So I don't think we can compete with some of those Texas schools. And then B, yeah, I don't think they're ever going to be willing to spend as much as those schools either. And for good reason. I mean, there hasn't been a direct correlation to spending and winning. You mentioned Texas, you mentioned Texas A&M, or I mentioned Texas A&M. You talk about SMU. These schools that aren't afraid to spend a boatload of money aren't winning titles. I mean, Texas got close. They got to the semifinals the other year, but they're very flawed. So the only different, the coaching still matters. And if you're only 15 million behind, which only 15 million behind sounds just crazy talking about college football, but when you're only 15 million behind, I don't think the talent is that much different. I think the 5-star talent is a little bit different. As you see, we have 1 5-star on this 2027 class. I think there's going to be a disparity on top end talent, but this 2027 class is going to be one of the most talented ones in the country when it's all said and done. Right now it's at 15th, and that's with 12 blue chippers. A blue chipper is someone 4-star or higher. So, I mean, there's half the class out of the 24 that are committed right now are considered blue chippers, and there's 3 or 4 guys who I think will be a blue chipper by the end of by December.
We're talking to William Cockrell. You can follow him on Twitter, on X at Walk On Moose, former Clemson football walk-on, writer for Walk On Red Shirts. I want to know the story, and I'm sure a lot of our audience, our Tolos, William, want to know as well, the story behind Walk On Red Shirts. I had not heard of it until I saw your profile. Give us the scoop on that and how that kind of came to fruition after your playing days. We'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, so I actually didn't start it. I was writing on my own. I love to write.
Okay.
And I was writing on my own, and I saw a group called the Walk On Red Shirts that were looking for people to cover recruiting. I was like, well, I love recruiting. I was a walk-on. I was a red shirt. This sounds like a match made in heaven. So I reached out and started writing and doing some podcasting with the Walk On Red Shirts, and just fell in love. We got some cool opportunities. I mean, Clemson's my passion, but college football is another passion of mine. So with the Walk On Red Shirts specifically, I cover all of college football, but then we also have a Clemson spinoff podcast called Inside the Valley that I do with Dustin Black, that you can find on Dustin B429 on Twitter as well, or X, excuse me. And it's just a bunch of guys who just love talking college. We're a bunch of Walk On Red Shirts, none of us are professional writers. We just love to talk ball. We love to write about it. And it got us an opportunity last year. Lance Leipold reached out, and we got an opportunity to go to Kansas and go see Kansas State play, which was extremely cool to get to see different parts of the country. So it's afforded us to go to Miami of Ohio, Ohio State, Kansas, Pitt. So a couple cool spots we've been able to see. But Jake Diefenthaler is the founder of it. He founded it back in 2020, and it does pretty well. It's fun.
William, as somebody who ran down the hill at Memorial Stadium yourself, what are your thoughts when you see the debate always pop up? For example, Morgan Wallen came down the hill this past weekend. A couple of years ago, people were upset that the UCF baseball team broke into the stadium and ran down the hill like it's some sacred piece of earth. How hard do you laugh when those stories pop up?
Well, the Morgan Wallen one, I'm like, he didn't touch the rock. He didn't do anything to mess up the feng shui of everything going up there. Hey, if he's bold enough to run down that hill, then let him do it. I mean, that hill can humble you really quick. So I don't put too much weight in it. It's pretty cool. I think everyone should be able to have the opportunity to run down it. The rock, I think the rock is where you cross the line. Don't let people touch the rock, right? So that's why it's got the container on it. But running down the hill, it's not that big of a deal.
Did you practice coming down that hill before the first game? Because when the first game happens, you're jacked up adrenaline like crazy, and you're surrounded by 85, 100 plus people when there's a lot of arms and legs swinging around on a very steep hill. How did you make sure that you never fell down that hill?
You kind of get a good little rhythm skip. You feel like you've got some rhythm. You skip down it. If you're bold, you jump. I was bowled one time, and it was the Notre Dame game back in 2015, and that was probably the worst game to be bowled.
Ooh.
It was a hurricane and a flood.
I was there.
I stuck the landing. So I've got that in my highlight tape, right?
Yeah.
But the only time I practiced running down the hill was summer pictures. You go up to the top of the hill, take a picture with Dabo, then you kind of can skip down the hill. But it's you don't really have practice. The first time I did it, I blacked out. I don't remember anything about it, and then it just became really cool. So it is honestly like the one of the coolest entrances in all of college football, if not the coolest.
William, let me ask you
and
this.
I think the people
go ahead.
As well.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say I have seen the hill take some people out too, and they got played back on Monday film review.
Oh, I'm sure of it. Well, let me ask you this, William, from a recruiting standpoint. That's obviously the talk right now. As the season gets closer and closer, we start giving our analysis on what we think this team does in 2026. But from you just said a few minutes ago, you cover the entire country when it comes to college football recruiting, what happens on the field and off the field as well. Where is Clemson stacking up from a recruiting standpoint with that 2027 class compared to the rest of the country?
Well, that's a great question. And so the easiest thing to do is to go and look at stars and go look at the ranking and all that stuff. But what I would tell you to do is go look at who are commits, who they're getting offered by. And you're going to see the same faces and the same names over and over again. And that's Ohio State, that's Georgia, that's Notre Dame, that's Miami, that's Auburn, LSU, Texas A&M, Oregon. And the thing that all these schools have in common are their big-time programs. So our evaluation is top-notch. The guys that we're getting in, whether they're a 3-star or not, are top-notch players. So yes, there is a science to the ratings on these players, and you should take that, but take it with a grain of salt. Click on their profile. Go see who's offering them, because that's who's telling you how good these players could be and will be. In this NIL era where it's now, it's 5 years, you have a 5-year clock. People aren't going to take as many risks on projects. So it's going to be interesting to see how recruiting changes because of the 5-year rule that just started. I don't know if y'all talked about that in the show, but the 5-year rule is 5 years from when you're 19 to 24. So you either graduate your senior year and play 5 years, or you turn 24 and then you're done playing college football. So, but to go back to your original question, we're competing with just about everybody. When I do a little recruiting analysis, I do a Monday morning update. And the biggest schools we're recruiting with right now are Florida, Auburn, Ohio State, Miami, Kentucky, Nebraska, LSU, and Texas A&M. And the thing all those schools have in common is they're SEC and they're spenders. So if we're competing with them, I'm feeling pretty good about where we are recruiting.
William, the news that I've seen over the past couple of days seems to be heavily leaning towards defense. The DB, Seth Williams, tackle, safety, Jaden Aparcio, Bailey. What's Tom Allen got going on right now that has this staff on such a heater?
Yeah, well, I'll say one thing. Tom Allen does not mince his words. If you go back to October, I think it was 21st last year, they had just played SMU and lost. Mm-hmm. And Tom Allen was very frustrated, and somebody asked, hey, you're about to be a part of your first recruiting class. Like, what are you looking for? And he went on a rant. Mm-hmm. And he talked about, I'm going to summarize, he wanted everybody to be long, fast, and love the game of football. So if you're going and looking at some of these guys we're offering, so Jaden Aparicio Bailey, I call him Jab because it's tough to pronounce his name. Jab is 6'2", and we offered him as a corner. That's a very tall corner. The average corner is 5'10". Bryant Robinson is an athlete out of Texas. We offered him as a corner. He's 6'3". Desmond Malpress is 6'4". Santana Harvey's 6'4". You go and look at some of the guys we got in the transfer portal. Elliott Washington is 5'11", but here's the fast part. He runs a 4.3. You talk about Bryce Kish, a 6'4" linebacker out of Michigan, runs an 11.1 as a 225-pound linebacker. An 11.1 is a 100-meter dash, which is blazing fast, especially for someone that big. So he said he was going to do it, and he's turning around and he's doing it. So the guys we're getting, they're long. I mean, and not necessarily tall. I mean, yes, some of them are tall, but look at their arms. What is their arm length? That stuff equates in the field. It's a game of inches. And Dabo used to always tell us, hey, these big-time games will come down to 6 plays. And you can go back and you'll see how crucial those 6 plays are. And if you look back last year, I could probably tell you the six plays from every single one of those close losses. I think we had 4 losses that were combined 11 points. So, you know, a blown coverage here, a missed assignment here, a missed tackle here, a drop ball here, boom, the season's completely different. You get a guy who's longer, he's more likely to make that catch. You get a guy who's faster, he's more likely to make that tackle. So Tom Allen is approaching these guys who are long, fast, and love football. And then if you've ever talked to Tom Allen, I don't know how you don't want to play for him.
Yeah.
I mean, every time I listen to him talk, I want to run through a brick wall. And let's go make this a little bit better. Let's go get Ben Bowler off the street, you know, and say, hey, you're very passionate about comes to football. You led us to the promised land. How about you come help out with this thing? And he's done a phenomenal job recruiting and developing these linebackers. So there's just so much passion in that room. And Tom Allen is doing such a good job. And I think Dabo actually trusts him. The last couple of offensive coordinators, I don't think he trusted. Chad Morris, that's going to change. The last couple of defense coordinators, the last defense coordinator before Tom Allen, he did not trust. It was a new guy in Wes Goodwin, who was there when I was there, who was extremely smart. I don't think he gets enough credit for how smart he was. But in terms of coordinator, as a coordinator, you got to recruit. So you got to be able to speak and get in front of these guys and sell them day in and day out that they're going to win and how they're going to win and how that game plan is going to work. Tom Allen, I mean, I'm sitting on my couch ready to go play and suit up, and I think we're going to win. Just listen to him talking. I know Chad Morris is the same way. So Dabo's letting him run. He's letting him control this defense. Majority of our transfers, I think we got 13 transfers last year, and 12 of them came on the defense. So he's letting Tom Allen do it how he wants to do it. And I think next year you're going to see the same thing with the transfer portal and Chad Morris.
William, my last question for you before we let you run. I want to know, I asked this question of a guest a couple of weeks ago. It was a South Carolina Gamecock reporter pertaining to Shane Beamer and the Gamecocks. I want to know the same thing, though, in your opinion, having played for Dabo and some of these guys on staff, what the answer is pertaining to Clemson. How much are off the field, off-season wins and recruiting valued when it comes to a head coach's job security? I know that Dabo Swinney might not have or might not be on the same planet as Shane Beamer is when it comes to job security, but for a guy who did go 7-4, what was it last year? The record last year, 7-6. I apologize, 7-6 last year. Obviously, his seat's warmer going into this season than it has been in the past few years. How much did these off-the-field wins matter when it comes to what Graham Neff obviously thinks at the end of the day?
I think it adds momentum either way. So if you're trending one way or the other, and if you're trending bad and you start winning in recruiting, I think it helps you out a lot. If you're trending bad, like Shane Beamer, and you start losing in recruiting, which this week they're actually hitting some guys over there in South Carolina, it adds to the momentum of you going down. So in a situation where a lot of the fans were losing hope in Dabo, and then you start getting these big time wins, the vibe changes a little bit. You start getting some shifts. Now, what you need to watch is how does this play out the rest of the year? Because what's happened with Clemson repeatedly over the last few years is we get some big time guys to recruit or to commit, and then they end up flipping late, or they're about to commit, and then something changes and they go somewhere else and shock everybody. So in terms of job security, I think all it can do is reinforce what you already have. I don't think it would cost him his job unless he started losing in recruiting on top of losing on the football field, which is not happening right now, which speaks volumes to the kind of guy he is. I think he woke up, not that he was ever sleeping, but I think they woke up with the bear in 2026 and then 2027. So I'm excited to see what he does this year.
William, very much appreciate your time, man. Let's do it again soon. Great insight, and we appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, Cole. Thank you, Diesel. Thanks for having me on. And, yeah, I'd love to talk to y'all soon.
Thanks, William.
William Cockrell, Walk On Podcast. Absolutely a pleasure having him on, Tolos. If you haven't done so already, make sure you give him a follow. It's Walk On Moose is where you can find him on Twitter. On X, he's with Walk On Red Shirts. Also, Inside the Valley podcast. Really good insight there from somebody who played at Clemson, Diesel. We have to get to our headlines, our daily wires. Let's do that next.
Jace.
Well, Diesel, we start off our daily wires with a little breaking news, and this is big breaking news.
Caitlin Clark is quitting the WNBA.
Not yet.
Oh.
Not yet. Maybe one day. But they don't need her.
They don't love me.
That's what Sam was it. Emmanuel Acho. They need her. They don't need her in the NBA, the WNBA. Yeah. This comes out of the NBA, the league that people actually watch and care about. The Memphis Grizzlies are trading two-time NBA All-Star Ja Morant to the Portland Trailblazers for Jeremiah Grant and Chris Murray. Sources tell ESPN. So Ja Morant is headed to Oregon. You might as well send him to Toronto. I mean, Oregon.
Bring him home. Bring him to Charlotte.
No, we can't get.
Can't afford him.
Can't afford him. But Ja Morant on the move, which is huge breaking news. Just a few minutes ago. Also, NBA news over the weekend, Diesel. The Hornets, your Hornets, have traded Miles Bridges, a 2029 first-round pick and a 2027 second-round pick to the Suns for Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, and a 2033 first-round pick. What do you think?
I think just when we traded away a serial tripper, we bring in a new one. Why? Why do you bring in arguably the most hated little turd in the NBA?
They liked him in Durham.
Allen?
They liked him in Durham.
I'll bet they
not
did.
Chapel Hill, right?
They don't need to be doing community relations between UNC and Duke fans by putting Grayson Allen and Con Knippel on the same roster as Kobe White.
Yep, headed back to the North Carolina. How about that? The Clippers and Raptors are in talks. Diesel on trading Kawhi Leonard. How about that news? That could get interesting there. After reaching the Eastern Conference Finals, Cavs guard James Harden is declining his $42 million player option and negotiating a new multi-year deal with the team.
Oh, he likes it there in Cleveland.
Likes it there. Pretty good team.
Might play for a discount.
How about that? How about this? Victor Hovland this morning watched Scotty Scheffler miss a putt to continue the playoff, and instead, Diesel, Victor Hovland is the Travelers champion. Victor Hovland this morning had to go against Scotty Scheffler one more time because yesterday they forced the playoff. It was not yesterday. It was late last night. They forced that playoff. So congrats to Victor Hovland, first win of the season.
The difference in that putt, Cole, winnings-wise, Victor Hovland takes home $3.6 million. Scotty Scheffler, just $2.1. So that putt cost Scotty Scheffler $1.5 million.
That was a putt that Scotty most of the time sings.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Dewey brought this up earlier in the show. The Braves, well, they do what the Braves have done in June. They lost again 3-2 yesterday to cap off a second straight series loss by the Padres last week. Giants now. That makes Diesel 12 losses in their last 16 games, and their lead is just 3 games over the Philadelphia Phillies.
Ew.
It's coming to an end. It's over. The season's over. It's done.
They peaked too early.
Peaked way too early. Way too early. Skip ahead a couple of here. Get back to a few of these later in the show. Diesel, today in the World Cup, we have one more game after Germany, Paraguay. Paraguay, Germany underway right now in Foxborough tonight. The Netherlands will play Morocco tonight.
Score is 0-0 right now, 21st minute between Germany and Paraguay.
Caitlin Clark snubbed from the WNBA's 30th anniversary poster, and not really sure why, but we'll get into that later in the show. How about this? Former Clemson basketball and football player Ian Shefflin will play this summer on the Miami Heat Summer League team.
God, cooking down there. The chef.
Who'd have thought that?
In the heat.
And last one for you before we run to a break and overreact, Diesel. The Golden State Warriors planning a pursuit of LeBron James and free agency and Anthony Davis via trade. League sources told ESPN Shams Charania, opening up flexibility for such a possibility after Draymond Green declined his $27.6 million player option this morning. Wow.
This roster brought to you by Centrum Silver.
I thought you were going to say
one of the oldest rosters in the NBA.
What's the AARP, right?
Yeah.
It
Depends diapers. What's other old people stuff? Werther's Originals.
It would be up there.
Why does everybody hate on Werther's Originals? They're great.
They're pretty good.
Yeah,
I like them. I like them a lot.
Cole, when we come back, it is time for you, for me, and for our Tolos to overreact. Tolos 844-326-3663. Call in and overreact about something you saw this weekend. Get on the phone lines. We got a couple of them open. Jump in now. Well, Cole, this is our opportunity and our Tolo's chance every Monday here at 5 o'clock to call in, take over these airwaves, and complain about something they saw in the sports weekend this past weekend. Cole, I have a bone
or
to
it doesn't
pick.
have to be complaining. Be positive too, right? It can be positive overreaction.
I guess
right?
you could overreact positive. Most people don't.
I've got one positive today.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Throw my narrative on its head right out of the gate.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to get a little positivity.
My overreaction for today, Cole, is that Scotty Scheffler got hosed at the very end of the Travelers over the weekend. And it's not because he missed the putt. It's not because somebody yelled at him while he was putting. It's because the PGA can't figure out how to schedule these events to leave a little window of time just in case a tournament goes to extra holes. Look, I got nothing against Victor Hovland. I like Victor Hovland as a player. I don't think he has a ton of personality from what I've seen. So, I haven't gravitated towards, being a fan of Victor Hovland. But, Cole, when other outdoor sports have to go into a delay, like baseball, rain delays, or football, when there's lightning delays and you got to get everybody out of the stands, those are out of the sport's control. Those are acts of God. But when it comes to not scheduling a tournament or tee times for your possible winners, your possible guys that are in the hunt, to give them 15 extra minutes at the end of the day before dusk to get in a possible playoff hole, you've screwed the pooch. You've failed. Because think about it. You've just played 4 rounds of golf over the course of 4 days. You're asking these guys to cool down, stay in a location for a day longer, get warmed all the way back up. And these guys, they have a routine. They're creatures of habit. Just to go out and play one hole.
Yeah.
You couldn't move everybody up 15 minutes to make sure you have a window at the end of the day. You have a forecast. It's right here on your phone. Tells you what time dusk is going to be. For God's sakes.
I just wonder, to play devil's advocate, I just wonder if it's about TV times and TV windows, if golf's kind of limited on when they can start tee times based on TV windows.
Well,
yeah,
of course it is.
But I know I'm just playing devil's advocate. I think it's a little easier said than done, though. I think there's probably a lot of things that go into it. And I don't have the PGA's commissioner on speed dial. I wish I did so we could ask him why. But I'm with you. It's no fun. I watched it last night. When Scotty made that putt, it was a terrific putt to force a playoff. And I didn't like the fact that it had to go to Monday morning, but I just imagining that there's a lot of reasons as to why, because you would think hey, if they're confident enough to do this, they would have figured this out by now, right?
The one and only reason is, you're right, television windows. They want to make sure that if the broadcast ends at 7 o'clock, they want that final putt going in the hole at 6:55. That way they have 5 minutes to talk about it. They can interview the winner, and boom, you're on to the next thing. I understand why they do it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's terrible planning to not have a window available to pull this off. I mean, they could handle it by just putting up a couple lights, right? Have designated hole or 2 holes or 3 holes, but they're not going to do that, right? Because they're beautiful golf courses. And golf is a game that's supposed to be played under the sun. This is not night golf. This is not Abu Dhabi where it's 207 degrees in the daytime, or Paris right now, for crying out loud. Those people are cooking in their own homes.
Well, let me ask you this, to play devil's advocate again one more time. What if the playoff continues later into the night? I think that's probably the biggest reason there.
I mean, there are contingencies that take it farther and farther. You could probably go back and find historical records of what the average number of playoff holes it takes to find a winner and be able to plan for that. I'm just saying it's bad planning. It's bad planning to get the final putt on 18 to a time slot when you have no recourse. You can't continue it. Then you have to have these guys cool down, get up in the morning, warm up, and go out and play one hole. It's just bad because then nobody sees it. That's also a big problem, is nobody sees it when that happens. It's like finishing a race on a Monday. It sucks.
It's just one of those things. And listen, I hear you. I agree with you on the fact that it sucks, but I disagree on the fact that I don't think it's a planning issue. I just don't know if there's anything they can do about it, in terms of the playoff and the.
Now they can move the tee time up 15 minutes.
But
That's
what
all
I'm
it
saying
takes.
is moving a tee time up 15 minutes doesn't solve the problem, though.
I don't care about the television window.
No, I'm saying what if Scotty and Victor played 4 holes last night?
But you plan for the average contingency. You plan for if the average is 2 playoff holes to find a winner, you plan for that. You leave a window for that rather than putting yourself so tight up against.
Yeah.
It's like saying, my GPS says I have to leave 15 minutes before I'm supposed to punch into work for me to get there on time. And then if I run into anything at all on the road, anything at all, I'm not going to make it to work on time. Well, that's your fault for not planning properly.
No,
that's your fault for cutting it so close every single time.
No, I agree with you on that.
It's a matter of practice. I get it looks good to have these guys putting the final putt in the golden hour of sundown. I get it. It looks good, but it's just it's a bad finish.
It's a bad finish. I agree with you that. I'm just saying I think there's more to it, that it is easy for us to sit here and say, just move it up 15 minutes. I just think there's so many things. But they played this morning. Scotty missed a putt that he normally makes. And Scotty, my overreaction is more positive. I'll get to that in a few minutes, Diesel. Let's go to the phone lines, though. 844-326-3663. Tom in Somerville's leading us off on Overreaction Monday. What's up, Tom?
Well, guys, the Braves baseball season was fun. And, I think I figured out how I'm going to cope with the disaster of a second half of a season that we're about to watch. So, we all know Frank from Barstool, right?
Yeah,
Whenever
totally.
Whenever he watches the Mets and they go on those losing streaks and he has his meltdown videos, I think that's what I decided I'm going to do after the All-Star break for the Braves. Is I'm just going to record myself breaking glasses, chewing on plastic, because that might be the only thing that can get the Braves out of this slump. Is me on the couch just screaming into a camera.
That would be great content, I must say. It'd be great content, Tom.
But you know what I decided to do? My overreaction is that Walt Weiss will get run out of Atlanta.
Oh, my God.
In less than a calendar year.
So it won't take long?
I'm just saying.
You're already you've lost hope, Tom.
A month ago, he was the best manager in baseball, Tom.
Well, that was a month ago. This is just June 29th, 2026.
Yeah.
And he ain't the best manager anymore.
So this is how they do things in hockey, though, Tom. It's like these guys, coaches are getting fired mid-season in professional hockey. They don't let them get to the end of the year.
Didn't one of the World Cup teams fire their manager or something for losing?
I think, the Paraguay, I think.
Yeah, they lost to America and said you're gone. Maybe somebody needs to have a stiff conversation with Walt Weiss, and maybe it's Alex Anthopoulos, whoever it is, needs to tell him, look, if you mess this up to where this team, because I don't even think this team's gonna win the division anymore. If this team misses the playoffs, they need to have a serious discussion.
Where do you think they'll finish in the division by the time the season's done?
At this rate, they'll be lucky to finish second.
Hey, let me give you this one. You'll like this, Tom. I saw this stat this morning. For much of the first 2 months of the season, the Braves had the best offense, best pitching, and won you a lot of games, right? In June, the offense in June, Atlanta last in the game in runs scored, last in the game in batting average, last in the game in OBP, OPS, and tied with Cleveland for last in home runs. The starting pitchers have the 6th worst ERA in June at 5.62. I don't know, Diesel, Tom, and anybody else listening, how that happens, how that flips, the about face, the 180 that happens like that. I don't know that that's explainable. I mean, I know baseball is a weird sport, but that was a drastic flip.
Yeah, that's above my pay grade. I got so fed up with it. You know me, I turned on. You know what game I rewatched today?
Tell us.
I went back to 1999. Okay, and it was a season opener with Ohio State and Miami. That's what I rewatched today.
Do you have to go pull out an old CRT TV to be able to watch it?
No, it's great. You just go on YouTube, and they're all there. I mean, there's this one guy, guys, that's got a video that's about 2 hours long of every football season dating back to like 1992. And you can just throw it on. It's incredible. That's how I cope with my Braves frustration.
We were today's years old, Diesel, when Tom discovered YouTube. That is a great discovery.
Hey Tom, can we book you? Can we book you once a week to come on and do an in-depth breakdown on a game that's at least 20 years old?
You tell me when.
What was the one today? Who won?
Oh, Miami beat them. Miami won.
Well, I know they beat them in 1999. I just didn't know if they won again today or not.
Oh yeah. What's funny is that same Miami team a couple weeks later lost to East Carolina. So
Ooh.
Context matters. I feel like they were world beaters beating Ohio State. Yeah. Good stuff, Tom.
Appreciate you as always. 844-326-3663. Cocky for a reason. Always seems to follow Tom. I don't know how, but he does. So cocky for a reason. What's your overreaction?
Let's talk soccer or football, whatever you want to call it. Are we gonna have a real game on Wednesday? Not like that garbage we had to watch the other night. Started us off nice. Couple of early scores, early goals, and then extra time, and then plus extra time, and a buzzer beater at the end.
Well, what would you say,
the JV?
Cocky? What would you say to the Team USA coach Mario Pochettino, who was asked that very question? He was asked, like, do you feel like you lost the momentum by losing this game? He's like, I don't understand. What are you talking about? Momentum. We won the group. That was the goal, was to win the group and advance. What would you say to that?
The way I look at it, I look at it as a positive. Like I say, keep them focused and don't let something like that slip up almost when it really matters. Because now it matters. Now you knockout round, you can't slip up like that and take a goal in the extra time and lose the game. Then you're out. That's it. So at least they got it out of their system on a game that didn't really matter against when they were playing their JV squad.
So what is your overreaction? Tie that in. Give us an overreaction. What is your United States World Cup, FIFA World Cup overreaction?
When you got somebody down, step on their throat and put them out of their misery. Don't let them hang around.
Are you are you in pursuit right now?
What is happening?
We're talking about.
There's so many sound effects. We got multiple sirens.
Ambulance just went by, so hopefully somebody's okay.
We'll chase them down. We need to know. Now we need to know.
No, they're heading down 385, and I'm heading in a different direction, so I'm good.
And where's your cousin Dewey at today, Cocky?
I haven't heard Dewey in a while. What is up with Dewey? Because it's a travesty.
Yeah,
Dewey is now nicknamed Drive-By Dewey because Dewey will usually come on the stream in the first and second hour of the show. He'll comment a few times, and then he disappears after that. He doesn't call in anymore.
He says he's got a job, and I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. How much of that you can believe?
Maybe he's saving himself for football season when when calls really matter.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can figure.
Who would hire Dewey?
That's the only thing I can figure.
I can't answer that.
Yeah. What kind of job would hire Dewey? Would you trust him to go retrieve carts from a parking lot? I wouldn't.
Well, maybe.
That would be some. I don't know. If whoever hired Dewey would be some severe next level DIY or something. I mean, that's some. Yeah.
Thanks, Cocky. 844-326-3663. That's the number, unfortunately, for you to call.
It's killing me.
That is unfortunately.
Oh, God.
I'm going to spend mine positive towards Scotty. Let me find my reason why. I owe him a little bit of an apology, believe it or not. Yep, I do.
It's unacceptable to come in second place and win $2.1 million.
I know.
What a loser.
I do owe Scotty an apology. Let me get some audio. This audio is from after the playoff was forced yesterday, and then I'll give you the context of why I'm giving him an apology. But here's the audio first from Scotty Scheffler.
We all know what your goals were coming into today. How would you assess how you played and just the ultimate result?
I played solid over the course of 4 days. There's obviously some shots that I'd like back, but overall it was a good, solid week. Obviously a little bit disappointed with the finish, but overall I feel like my game's in a good spot.
And what did you see in that putt on the last hole? Was it a similar line to what you had last night? Did you just break a little bit less today?
I hit it on my line. I think it was just a little bit firm. It was one of those putts you kind of had to make, and just hit a little firm. So that's a bit disappointing with, especially with the putts I made last night to kind of stay in the tournament. But overall, definitely some good things to come from this week. I struck the ball really nicely, and it's just one of those weeks where I was close, but just wasn't quite good enough.
Good playing, Scotty. Damn.
So still positive vibes there, even though we didn't finish strong, Diesel. Here's why and maybe this is an overreaction, maybe it's not. You tell me, Diesel. I've been pretty hard on him, this year, saying that he's not playing anywhere up to par, right? Well,
pun intended.
Right, pun intended. Compared to what he normally plays, he wasn't playing up to par. Now, maybe it was unfair to judge Scotty because of how well he played for so long, right? The streak that he went on, Diesel, for several years and his magnificent run, he hadn't won this year. However, I do owe him a little bit of an apology by saying this. I read a tweet this morning, and here are Scotty Scheffler's results since his last win, which was last year. Since his last win, Scotty Scheffler has finished top 3, top 4, top 12, top 22, second, top 14, third, top 12, top 4, and second. That's 4 runner-up finishes, 8 top 5s, and nothing outside of the top 25. That's fantastic golf. But Scotty Scheffler spoiled us and spoiled me, and that's why I had been hard on him this year, because he wasn't winning back to back.
But this is America, man. This is Ricky Bobby territory. What's your name? If you ain't first, you're last. But you got to be winning.
I know, but he's not winning, and people have been hard on him this year. And obviously winning matters. Now, he's still making a crap ton of money, even though he's not winning, right? You talked about how much he made finishing second yesterday.
Yep.
Nice little chunk of change. And, hey, that will still pay the bills. But my word, I think there are a lot of golfers out there who would kill, and I mean kill, to have those kind of results right there. That many tournaments, Diesel. It was eye-opening for me to read that, because compared to the way he had been playing, it felt like he was off his game a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I think a lot of people wanted to assign the Tiger Woods level of dominance. You have to be winning, 3 out of 4. If not, you're a failure. I mean, that is an impossibly high standard in golf, especially when, let's be real, you're not Tiger Woods. And you're not playing in the same era as Tiger Woods. Like, Tiger was far and away better than everyone else almost every single time he stepped out on the course for his entire career. And it seems like, obviously there's so many great players now that have come up and improved their level of golf to match the world number 1. It's not as big a gap from 1 to 2 as there used to be.
Let's end Overreaction Monday with Dewey. Dewey has called the show. I guess he got off work in time. Dewey, do you have a big, bold overreaction for us on this Overreaction Monday?
Yes. First of all, Scotty Scheffler sucks, and Tiger Woods is a drunk, and he's a has been. But secondly,
no lies.
Cole, you owe me an apology. I sat on this show. I've been telling y'all the truth for years now. And I sat on this show several months ago, and I told you the Braves lead would be cut in half. Well, guess what? It's 3 games now. This is ridiculous. Greg Baldwin, he sucks. I don't know what he's been doing on his vacation, but he hasn't been training. He's my oblique injury hurts. Well, now he sucks. And we're going to be looking for a new catcher soon, because he's probably going to get designated or whatever.
Designated.
And Austin Riley, he still sucks. Acuna's not coming back. Strider's career is over. And all we got is Chris Sale, which he did good yesterday. So it's not good enough when
doesn't
they
get run support.
And don't have run support, and the other guy was better than him. So the whole thing.
So you want an apology from me, Dewey?
I was right. I'll tell you what's going to end up happening. The sad truth is the Phillies on paper are better than the Braves. They got Schwarber, Trey Turner, whatever, Bryce Young, Harper, whatever his name is. and that Morris guy that looks like he takes a shower before he gets up the back because his hair's dripping all the time. And then they got this the Eric Boone person. And they got a team, they got a manager that's legendary. And unfortunately, the Phillies will overtake the Braves, and maybe happen before the All-Star break.
Good. Well, Dewey, if this makes you feel any better, I'm sorry. I apologize for
not believing
you, Dewey. Not believing you. Is that good? Is that right?
No, but I mean the last several for how long? I saw a statistic. They're averaging two runs a game now. What crap is that?
Hey.
2 runs a game. Now, fortunately for them, they got enough wins to coast their way to the playoffs, but that's about it. They will not win this division like this. And honestly, I don't think they will win this division. Oh.
Dewey, before you go, are you still there with us, or did you hang up?
Yeah.
Okay. Since we're throwing out apologies, I think Cole and I should both pre-apologize because we're not going to be here on Friday. It's a company holiday. They're not going to let us come to work on Friday. I know you get upset when we take quote-unquote vacation days. Yeah. So wanted to put that out there in advance, see if we could buy ourselves some good grace with you.
Well, y'all just ruined my Monday. Just like when I tuned in on June 19th, Friday, y'all weren't there either, and I was angry. That's how I listened to Jim Rome.
I hate that, Dewey. Hope your Monday gets better. Appreciate you calling. My word is all I know what to say there. My word. Thanks, Dewey. God. Thanks. Diesel, let's do a new daily segment to help us cope with not having football. How do we do it? Well, what about this? A little daily segment for you in the 5 o'clock hour. We'll start out with college football, then work our way over to the NFL. One by one day at a time. The biggest storylines, we're going to keep it generic and broad. And then as we get closer to college football season, obviously, Diesel, you and I will narrow this thing in and get really detailed on what we think will happen. We'll make our predictions, but a broad view. The biggest stories in college football. I think I've got 10 pretty good storylines written down. We will go one at a time, one per day. This will take us all the way up until the ACC kickoff, which is just a couple of weeks from right now. Not long at all. Week and a half. And we start with number 9. Now, that is not in any specific order. It's just how I wrote them down. Last year, at the end of the season, the big story was Trinidad Chambliss. Well, now, Diesel, Trinidad Chambliss has a new first-year head coach. Can what happened in 2025 be replicated? What is the ceiling? I think this is one of the more intriguing storylines heading into the college football season. Let's dive into it next.
Wire with Cole, Bryson, and Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
You know, Diesel, there's a lot of truth to a surprise, and maybe sometimes a surprise the next year. Well, it's simply not called a surprise because you're expecting it. What am I talking about? Lenora Sellers had a good year. What did Clemson fans say after his first good year at South Carolina? Clemson fans said, well, he won't have a good year next year because he's not a surprise anymore. People know what to expect, right? They've seen tape on Lenora Sellers. There are a lot of people on Twitter saying the same thing about one quarterback in particular, Trinidad Chambliss. That's the first storyline I want to take a look at. Before we get to the 2026 college football season, let's start there. Surprise. Can Trinidad Chambliss replicate what he did, Diesel, in 2025 under a brand new first-year head coach in Pete Golding? We all know what he did last year. Tolos want to hear from you as well. The surprise factor, with now that there is film on this guy, is that something that you buy or sell? Do you buy into the fact that he's no longer a surprise and teams have a little bit more preparation on the kid?
Elite players find ways to continue getting better. So as soon as you think you know what his move is going to be, or his quickness, or his direction changeability, as soon as you feel like you have a good beat on that, especially for the first couple of weeks of the seasons at least, then it's going to be different. He's going to be a better player. He's going to be a faster player. It's going to be a little bit different this year. He's not the same player that he was. Sure, you can learn tendencies, but what do those tendencies mean when you've got a whole new staff, when you've got a whole new offense?
He does have a new staff. He does have a new offense. And here's what I'll say about that. Diesel, I would be worried and concerned if Trinidad Chambliss had a coach that came in from out of the program. However, with Pete Golding having been in the program, it does, even though he's a different kind of coach than Lane Kiffin was, right? I do feel a little bit better in the fact that Pete Golding was in the system. He was on the same coaching staff. That makes me feel a little bit better.
But he wasn't the OC.
He wasn't the OC. I just don't think, I don't know. In Trinidad, maybe, I don't want to speak for him. What I'm getting at is I don't know that Trinidad Chambliss is starting from scratch in 2026, right? I would feel as if he had this new play caller, this new head coach come in that was outside the program, I would feel as if he was starting from scratch. Even though Pete wasn't the OC, I would imagine, and we'll get deeper onto this as the season gets closer, I would imagine that Pete Golding is going to keep some of the things around that made Trinidad Chambliss successful in 2025. Wouldn't you think that you have a guy,
Sure.
well, if that made him successful, let's not change what we're doing. Let's try to keep him around and see if we can continue to have that continuity, Diesel. So I feel a little bit better in that sense.
Yeah.
He had nearly 4,000 passing yards last year.
You'd like it, obviously, if it was his offensive coordinator sticking around and ascending to be the head coach. But there's familiarity. There's familiarity between Trinidad and Pete Golding. I mean, Pete had to see him in practice every day, right? He had to watch those tendencies, so he knows what he's good at. And I mean, there's this common misconception, Cole, that offensive coaches only know offense and don't have a single clue about defense, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And that's just simply not true, especially once you've been around the game for a long time. You learn the other side. You have to pick up something, right? You have to learn something. And if you have aspirations of being a head coach one day, it behooves you to start learning offense if you're a defensive coach.
And you do have Kawan Lacey returning. So, when you talk about a quarterback being good, it kind of matters when your running back's back as well, right? Like when you have continuity and consistency coming back around your quarterback's as good as those around them. So when you have Kawan Lacey Jr. coming back, Diesel, who was a really good running back last year, I think that's a big part of it. You're going to have Jonte Cook Sr. at wide receiver, Deuce Alexander at wide receiver, Caleb Odom's back. So you're going to have a little bit of continuity. It's not like this is a brand new team. Kawan Lacey last year, he ran for 1,600 yards, which is pretty incredible. 24 touchdowns, averaged over 5 yards a carry on 306 attempts. Trinidad Chambliss pretty deadly with his legs as well. We know what kind of quarterback he can be. I think Kawan Lacey is one of the better running backs in the SEC. And I know we're talking about Chambliss here, but this guy took care of the football. He wasn't really forced into a lot of bad situations. And you're right. He'll have a different voice in his ear. But I do think there's something to be said about this as well, Diesel. What he has accomplished in his career outside of Ole Miss, I think has probably helped him in ways that we don't really give him as much credit for. He started at Ferris State University, won a national championship.
Do you know what state Ferris State is in?
Louisiana? That's a total blind random guess.
You're very wrong. Wrong end of the country.
Ooh.
So you guess Louisiana, you got to go straight north to Michigan. Big Rapids, Michigan.
No, I didn't know
which
that.
I've never heard of Big Rapids, Michigan.
At Big Rapids there.
Apparently so.
But he won a national championship up in Michigan at Ferris State, right? Transferred up. Last year, 13-2, as I'm sitting here looking at my Phil Steele magazine. I mean, that's pretty good last year from what he did. He had to deal with the eligibility thing all year, right? Stayed at Ole Miss instead of transferring. I think the kid's pretty mentally tough. Look, could he take a step back? I think he could. Is he Jackson Dart like Jackson Dart was in 2024? Nah, probably not. But this is a pretty good quarterback in Trinidad Chambliss. I think Diesel, here's what is going to be an interesting factor. When you talk about the SEC, the Southeastern Conference has some defensive coordinators in the conference that are highly paid, right? Those defensive coordinators in the SEC get paid a lot of money, and for the most part, they do a good job. Coordinators now have 15 games of film on Trinidad Chambliss. So when you talked about a minute ago, tendencies, things like that, yes, you're right. Good players will do what? They'll figure out a way to make a play. But I do think there's also truth to defensive coordinators now know his scrambling tendencies. Defensive coordinators now also know Diesel what he likes to do against the blitz. Defensive coordinators know if they can force him to win from the pocket or not, because last year he had a lot of wins outside the pocket, right? And what does life after Lane Kiffin look like? I know that's just a statement, but Ole Miss, they might not be Ole Miss that we came to know under Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
So Lane Kiffin, look, whether you like him or not, he was one of the best offensive minds in football. And even if the scheme at Ole Miss, Diesel, stays familiar, you said it, the play calling will not be identical. Can someone else manufacture explosive plays the way Lane Kiffin did? I think there's a lot of questions. So if you do have skepticism of Trinidad Chambliss, I think it's fair. And then you pair in the schedule for Trinidad Chambliss. The schedule is obviously pretty tough. Mm-hmm. The SEC doesn't care what you did last year, right? The SEC don't care how good you were last year. Ole Miss is in a position now, Diesel, where they are the hunted, not the hunter. People are going to start circling them. Let's look at that schedule for a second. You ready? Ole Miss taking on Louisville. I would lean Ole Miss in that one. Ole Miss taking on Charlotte. Obviously, Ole Miss. LSU. You're going to take LSU or Ole Miss in that one? Going against his old coach. I'm probably going to take LSU.
Yeah.
They have to go to Florida. Not going to be easy. They have a bye. And they're at Vandy. Mizzou, here's where it gets tough. You ready, Diesel? Texas, Auburn, Georgia, Oklahoma. That 4-game stretch for Trinidad Chambliss is going to be tough. They finish with Wofford and Mississippi State. Is it a terrible schedule? No, but it's the SEC. So I think I lean more towards, if you asked me, Diesel, I think I lean more towards Trinidad Chambliss will figure out a way to continue to develop as a quarterback, opposed to taking a step back like Lenore Sellers did. He took a step back in 2025. Mm-hmm. I don't think that happens with Trinidad Chambliss.
Well, there is some continuity on that coaching staff. Like you said, new OC, but the new OC is John David Baker, a guy that spent a couple of years at Ole Miss under Lane Kiffin. He was tight ends coach, right? So he ascends to the role. I think he might have left. He was tight ends coach and co-offensive coordinator from 2021 to 2023. So he took a couple of years off, came back to Oxford. So he's got some familiarity there. The question really, and without doing a deep dive on John David Baker-led offenses, is he the right guy to put the protection schemes in place to give a mobile quarterback like Trinidad Chambliss time and room to create?
Yeah.
Because ultimately that's what's going to decide whether or not Trinidad Chambliss is good this year. Can he still get out and do what he wants to do under a new scheme?
And like I said, if they're smart, they keep it similar to what he did last year. You don't reinvent the wheel here. Are things going to be different? I think so, certainly so. But why reinvent the wheel with a guy like that has the potential, Diesel, to be in New York at the end of the year holding a Heisman Trophy? Why? And again, John David Baker's a very good offensive coordinator, but why try to reinvent the wheel if you've got a guy who proved himself last season? I just can't see them doing that. Not saying there won't be anything different. I just think you've got to kind of go back to the bread and butter of what made Trinidad special in 2025.
Yeah, can a year wiser and a year more of experience at this level help him overcome some of the challenges that you will face with the new offensive coordinator? I think, yeah.
Texter says Pete Golding will just poach more players to help Chambliss. Maybe that's a Clemson fan texting in. Could be, but yeah, he is known for that.
Very interesting stuff, Cole. When we come back, I got some bad news. I got some bad news for you. It happened again. Like the big no-no in sports. Happened again. Another brand new investigation into former NBA players gambling on their teams. We'll get to the latest next.
Back up on your feet.
I'm going to ask kind of a facetious question here, but those of you that like to wager a little bit on sports, why do you still do it when stories like this keep coming out, Cole? Malik Beasley, a former Detroit Pistons player, has now been indicted on gambling charges in which it very much appears like he manipulated his performance during the 2023 and 24 season to influence fraudulent bets. That's not good.
No, it's not. Not when you have more and more stories coming out every few weeks, it feels like. Maybe it's more like a few months, but no, unfortunately, this is where we are. It's Diesel. It's going to be a rotating news cycle of players that continue to find themselves in these kind of situations.
You know, I guess no amount of training can prevent somebody from wanting to game the system in some way. It's like, hey, the bet on me tonight is 20.5. Okay, I'll score 18.
Yeah.
I'll fake an injury at 18 minutes. I'll look exhausted. I'll do the, hey, coach, take me out of the ball game here. You know, it's unfortunate. And with these leagues, Cole, they're all so deeply embedded in it. And I would love to know just the truckloads of cash that are being thrown around between these various gambling apps and the leagues that they're tied to. I don't know how you go back. I don't know how you undo it, because that's so much money being placed in the pocket of a commissioner. How do you say no to that? How do you figure out new revenue streams to make it up?
Well, that's something that, look, if we think that's ever going to happen, that task is going to be like you said, it's going to be tough. Look, we're in the middle of that storm right now. I mean, however you see it happening, whatever you see happening over the next 20 years, whether you think we somehow go back or it just continues to get worse, we're in the crunch time of it right now. I mean, this is where we're kind of writing history, you know, and do I think we're going to go back to where leagues aren't in bed with gambling companies? It surprised me. It surprised me if we did, because you said it. At the end of the day, all people care about is money. And
what would it take to go back? Would it take a gigantic class action lawsuit that essentially bankrupts a league? Let's just, I mean, a lot of these stories keep coming out of the NBA. So let's just pretend for a second that it's the NBA.
Yeah.
If sports gamblers who wagered on Pistons games and the guys from the other teams that are in this particular case and the cases we've talked about in the past, if you could go back and say, all right, we're going to do a class action lawsuit of like $5 billion, would that take down the NBA or hamper them to the point where other leagues like the NHL, the NFL, college sports, would they say, ooh, we saw what just happened to them. We know this kind of stuff is happening in our leagues. We better just shut this down now.
Well, yeah, I think, unfortunately, to answer your question, I think it would have to be something to that magnitude, because now, number one, do we ever expect anything to that magnitude to happen? I don't know. Probably not. But no, I think, Diesel, you're probably right there that if it were to happen, if we were to go back and all these professional organizations said, no, we're good, we've spent enough time in bed with these gambling companies, we're going to go back now and just kind of divorce from the gambling companies, unseparate, I guess. I don't know, Diesel, that a league that stands on its own like the NBA would ever have enough pride to do it. I don't know that they would. Would they ever have enough pride to go back and just completely reverse course?
It sounds like, we're committed to making sure the games have meaning, and we're working with our gambling partners to make sure that we're getting tighter and tighter on issues like this to make sure it doesn't happen again.
But you know what, though? Like, at the end of the day, this is probably, if you think about, Diesel, we host a sports show. If you think about the history of time, from the time that sports took the main stage to now, this is probably the biggest issue that sports as a whole has ever faced. And I mean, any other issue, they're in bed with these companies. You said it. They really don't have a choice from a monetary standpoint. But then they have this, we try to ensure the best. All that's BS.
It's marketing.
I mean, come on. What are we doing here? So I think this is, as we talk about sports 4 hours a day on a daily basis, I think this is the biggest dilemma that sports has ever faced. And I also think, Diesel, it's turned a lot of people off of sports too, the gambling. People who don't want to be associated with gambling. Well, guess what? Nowadays, you can't be in sports much and not be associated with it. I mean, you can't host a afternoon drive sports radio show in a small market like we are.
We've both done endorsements
That's what I'm
for
saying.
sports gambling companies.
So how do you separate yourself from it? I mean, if you have any kind of microphone that works and gambling companies out there know about you, you're, like you said, you had I had Prize Picks and you had Underdog. So like it's they want to spend money, and the people who they want to spend money with don't like turning down money.
We brought a guest on last week whose main sponsor is Kalshi. And that's the number one sponsor of his show. It's unfortunate, and I don't know how you undo it. Wouldn't it be fascinating, though, if the situation that happened with Brendan Sorsby over the past 2 weeks played out to where he was eligible, while at the same time these former NBA players, and they say former NBA players, but let's be real, this is happening with current NBA players too.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody was indicted who was a current NBA player and thrown out of the league forever at the same time, you got college saying it's fine, it's okay, let him play. Meanwhile, you'd have the NBA saying, you're out of the league forever. We're never letting you back in.
Well, let me ask you this. You asked the question what it would take to have to reverse course.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think Shohei Ohtani and that whole case, like if that wasn't big enough, I mean, that was the biggest sports story in years when it comes to gambling.
That's why I thought it was just so convenient. And maybe this is the truth. We'll never know. I just thought it was convenient where you could say, no, I didn't do it. It was Ipe. Ipe stole the money. He had access to my accounts. He did it all. Look at him. Don't look at me. And you're right. Shohei Ohtani has kind of walked away from this thing essentially scot-free. Nobody talks about him being a degenerate, cheating gambler, even though he was associated with it.
And that guy is the biggest in the sport. There's nobody in the sport that's bigger than he is. And that was about as bad of a situation outside of Pete Rose as we've seen in baseball. And you and I think we had just started the show when that happened. We covered it. We talked about it. If that by itself wasn't enough to make leagues question whether or not they wanted to be in bed, I don't know. I think going back to what you said, leagues would have a league would have to go near bankrupt for it to actually send shockwaves.
Texter says, what about the guy that's suing because he lost $2 million of his wedding fund to sports betting? Dane Miller, 32-year-old groom-to-be from Chicago. I feel like I remember this story not that long ago. He filed a federal lawsuit in Illinois against DraftKings, alleging that the platform ignored signs of his severe gambling addiction and exploited him for over $2 million in total wagers.
How about that? It's crazy. I'm telling you, it's like you and I, we look for headlines. It's like there's a new story that pops up about this every week.
All the time.
It really is. Diesel, let's dive back into the NBA. Boston, Jaylen Brown, what's going on?